allsouth.org or visit an AllSouth location today to start earning more. AllSouth is federally insured by the NCUA.
Hey guys, Jay Phillips and Grayson Griner here for our friends at Integrated Media. Grayson, now that you and the family have settled into life after years in the bigs, I hear you've added to what Integrated Media had already done around the house. Tell us what makes your system so much fun to use.
Yeah, Jay, Integrated Media has taken care of us from day one. Everything they do looks fantastic, everything they do sounds fantastic, and everything runs seamlessly when it comes to our smart home. In today's day and age of streaming everything, having a strong Wi-Fi connection throughout the house is critical, and Integrated Media is the best in the business at setting you and your family up with everything you could ever need.
Now, I don't know about you, but having an outdoor system that looks and sounds like the indoors is better than I could have imagined.
Yeah, one of the perks of living in the Midlands of South Carolina is enjoying time outdoors virtually year-round. From weatherproof mounted televisions to outdoor speaker systems, Integrated Media is the standard when it comes to outdoor entertainment. They're the only people I would ever recommend when it comes to outfitting your smart home indoors or out.
Work with the best in the business, and that's our friends at Integrated Media. Grayson and I can't recommend them highly enough. See their work on Facebook and Instagram, then call them up at 803-948-8327 and get Integrated Media into your home today.
WNKT FM, Eastover, Columbia.
Congrats to the Gamecocks women on another national championship.
A Cumulus media station.
The Halftime Show, sponsored by the Men's Clinic of South Carolina.
Not feeling like yourself? Call the Men's Clinic at 803-875-MENS.
The Halftime Show on the Game Network and the 107.5 The Game app.
$12 o'clock on your Tuesday afternoon. Welcome in. It is now the Halftime Show. Tyler Head, Terry Ford, fashionably late as always, will be with me in just a moment. Still looking back on the weekend that was, the Saturday that was in Williams-Brice Stadium for the Gamecocks, where, again, as we talked about plenty of times yesterday, they got the win, and that's the most important thing. It's a whole lot better than coming in here yesterday and having to talk about losing to an Old Dominion team and starting off the season 0-1 when it was already going to be an uphill climb to try and get to 6 wins and get yourself back to a bowl game. So at least you check the box with that. But, you know, as we kind of turn our attention ahead, not only to Kentucky this weekend, but to the rest of the season, especially coming off of week 1 in college football, man, you just look at this schedule and, you know, if Carolina does not make significant improvements, particularly on offense, you wonder if getting to that 6-win mark is still feasible. Because even the games that we looked at that we thought, maybe Carolina's got a pretty good chance and to win those, maybe kind of shifting a little bit. Particularly talking about Vanderbilt, in early November, where that's always a game that everybody, in the SEC chalks up, that's an easy win. Well, Vanderbilt went out there and beat a Power 4 team, and Virginia Tech that a lot of people are viewing as a potential dark horse ACC candidate, and they still could be, certainly, but the fact that Vanderbilt won a game that wasn't against an FCS team is always going to be major headlines. So that game doesn't look maybe as easy as it once was. I know LSU lost on Sunday night against Southern Cal, but man, that offense looked like it was good. Garrett Nussmeier, he can sling the rock. Kyron Lacey, that got good receivers. How's Carolina going to deal with that? 2 weeks from now. So A&M, again, they've got things to work out on their own, but they still hung in with a pretty good Notre Dame team for most of that game before Notre Dame got those couple scores at the very end of it. So this schedule just looks even more daunting right now than it did before the season started, based on what we've known of these teams in week number 1. And that's where, what we talked about so far this morning a lot is what kind of steps forward can you make this upcoming week as you're in practice today, tomorrow, leading up to hitting the road, I'm assuming on Friday, to go up there to Lexington to play game number 2. What strides can you make? Because there's a lot of teams out there this year and in years past that have looked bad in week number 1 or rough around the edges in week number 1, come out in week number 2 and look like a completely different team. Or if not week number 2, early on in the season. So there's room to grow. I think back to last year, Alabama, after losing the Texas game in week 2. They went on the road to South Florida and looked god awful, barely being able to squeak out a win there. I think it was 17-3, and that was a last minute touchdown when they made that win look better than it actually was. And we were all writing them off as there's no way this Bama team can do anything. They went on to the college football playoff and won the SEC championship. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that's necessarily an apples to apples comparison to South Carolina, because Bama's Bama, and few teams can compare to them even when they're at their lowest. But still, it's always possible. And that's where this week of practice is going to be interesting to see. And we're going to hear from Beamer right at an hour from now about a lot of the issues that did rear their head on Saturday and what can be done with that. What kind of steps forward can you take with Lenore Sellers? And I brought this up earlier. And again, we're talking about one game, right? We're trying not to overreact, but we only have this one game to go off of, so we can't help but overreact, if that makes sense. And with Sellers, again, missing on some very basic throws, you do have to ask the question, okay, is this just a game one thing? Is this just jitters working out the kinks of the offense? Or is this what his identity as a quarterback is? I look at last night with a guy like DJU, who's gone from Clemson to Oregon State, now to Florida State. This is a guy that has struggled throwing the ball, particularly on the deeper stuff, his entire career. And again, he's been in multiple different systems. He's worked with multiple offensive coordinators and quarterbacks coaches that have all said the same thing. Hey, we're going to work on that. We're going to fix DJU in this area. And nobody's been able to do it. So with Sellers, and our expectations were set so high with him because of the little glimpses that we saw last year when he played Furman, when he played against Vanderbilt, and looked about as perfect could be. 4 for 4. The deep bomb to Tyshawn Russell. I think he also threw a touchdown to Nick Harbor as well. Long touchdown run against Vanderbilt when those two teams played. So everything that we had to go off of leading into the season told you it was going to be good. And again, it was a very small sample size, but again, that's what we have to go off of. So that's where the hype's going to come from. In addition to him being, a highly touted prospect, in-state guy, South Florence, and all those kind of things, we're feeling good about it. And we come away from the game like, all right, a little shaky. Got to get better. And you're going to go up against a defense this weekend in Kentucky that is a lot better than Old Dominion was. That is a lot more athletic, a lot more gifted than Old Dominion was. You can't make some of those same mistakes or they're really going to make you pay for it. You know what I mean? And that in and of itself, Carolina's offense benefited greatly from what Carolina's defense was able to do. And as happy as we are about the defensive performance and what they were able to do on Saturday, what's it going to be like going up against Kentucky? I brought this stat up to Chris a little bit earlier on this morning that, for the remainder of South Carolina's 11-game schedule, they're going to be going up against 9 of the top 50 offensive lines in college football, according to Phil Steele in his preview magazine for the season. And this weekend, number 17, Kentucky. So as excited as we were for what Dylan Stewart and Kyle Kennard are doing off the edge, can they replicate that against Kentucky this weekend? We sure hope so. We sure hope that what we saw against Old Dominion was just a precursor of what these guys are going to be able to do for the entire season, to be that, fearsome duo coming off the edge on both sides, wreaking havoc on quarterbacks. But we got to see it against a better team and a better opponent in conference play this upcoming weekend before I think we really can bookmark that as a guarantee week in, week out. Because, again, that was an offensive line and Old Dominion that gave up more sacks than anybody last year. And, maybe that was just the benefit of playing that kind of team again, who did shift their lineup around a little bit, brought some guys in from the transfer portal, but sometimes bad offensive lines are just a program thing, no matter who's playing in there. And maybe that's what our defensive front with Carolina was able to take advantage of on Saturday, as opposed to this being a consistent thing. I don't know. Again, we're speculating at this point in time because we just have the one game to go off of, and you go on the road this weekend to hopefully be able to prove that it wasn't just a one-game flash in the pan. And we talk about the importance of this game. We've talked about the importance of this game the entire offseason, right? You hate to say must win this early in the year, but it's a must win game. And we've talked about it from the context of it being must win from the standpoint of just getting yourself 6 wins. Because as I mentioned a moment ago, we're looking at the schedule, as we've done the entire year, finding 6 wins is not going to be hard, or it's not going to be easy. And now I feel like, and I said this a lot yesterday, I think it adds the extra layer of people believing in your team. Because if you go out there on Saturday, this past Saturday, and you beat Old Dominion pretty convincingly, 38-14 or something like that, we're all feeling pretty good coming away from it. And then if you were to follow that up and you lost to Kentucky, no matter how you lost to Kentucky, I think people would still feel okay-ish about this team. But you have a rough performance, even in a win against Old Dominion on Saturday. If you go out there and you lose by 2 or 3 touchdowns against Kentucky this weekend, you're going to have people that are going to be like, that's it, I'm done for the year, that are not going to seek any optimism down the road with this team because of how tough the schedule is, because you got LSU coming to town the next week, because Ole Miss is only a few weeks away. You have to go to Alabama. You play Oklahoma on the road. You have Missouri coming to town. Like, there's a lot of people that just aren't going to see a willingness to follow this team anymore because the writing for them will have already been on the wall. So the importance of this game this upcoming weekend cannot be understated. Just from a performance standpoint, to not lose the interest of people and to show, yeah, week 1 wasn't great, but as we've seen many times with this program before, look back to what happened in 2022. You didn't look like you belonged in the same conference as Florida that day, and then you beat 2 top 10 teams and crushed the playoff hopes the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, hey, how you doing? Here's the thing, and you bring that up, and no one's sitting here trying to, build up false hope. But in the Shane Beamer era, there have been times where this team, like that Florida, look, man, that Florida game was awful.
Yeah.
I remember coming here on Monday, Jay and I, and it's like, whoa, there's no lipstick to put on that thing.
Sure.
And it was bad. And no one was sitting around going, yeah, but you know what? You'll bounce back against the Tennessee team. By the way, that Tennessee team with Hendon Hooker was boat racing everybody.
Yeah.
And that's the first time we saw that Josh Heupel offense in its entirety and its most explosiveness.
What was the line on that game? Do you remember?
Oh, God, 50?
It was pretty big from what I recall.
And remember this, Tennessee was trying to get to the college football playoff.
Yeah.
So they had to come in, and their goal was to curb stomp you by as much as possible.
Sure.
So we're sitting here, a fan base is sitting here thinking,
you're about to be the sacrificial lamb.
yes. I mean, if you played that bad against a mediocre Florida team and couldn't stop that offense, what are you going to do against one of the most electric offenses in college football whose goal is to try to put a hundy on you?
Right.
And what happened? I'll never forget sitting in the press box. It was myself. God, Heath Klein was in there. Jen was there. Had a few other members of our staff, and we couldn't talk.
Yeah.
We started going to the record books because South Carolina was administering such a beatdown. It was a 180 from what you saw in Gainesville.
And that's the most significant example. You and I were talking about this earlier. Go back to his first year. You got blanked by Clemson in the last game of the year. And then you went out there and won a bowl game against North Carolina. You know what I mean? Like, nobody saw that coming.
Right.
First of all, nobody thought you were going to be in a bowl game to begin with.
Right.
But you go from getting curb stomped by your in-state rival to beating a team that a lot of people probably thought was better than you in North Carolina without a starting quarterback, mind you.
You were basically running a wide receiver at quarterback who hadn't started a game at quarterback since high school, if my memory serves me.
Right.
And you were a double-digit dog to North Carolina. So, yeah, so these things have happened in the Shane Beamer era on a couple of occasions. When you sit back and go, wow, ooh, ick, it never goes as bad as you think it's going to go. And sometimes it's a 180 where they come out and they win a game that you just gave them very little chance to win. Mm-hmm. And look, Kentucky, on paper, Kentucky looks better right now. with the struggles that this offense had on Saturday against Old Dominion, Kentucky can play D. You know, Walker's a beast at defensive interior. J.J. Weaver on the edge. There'll be games Weaver's really good coming off the edge. Oxendine's a solid player up front. I mean, Kentucky's a good defensive team. They got some secondary question marks they got to fix. So that looks like a bad matchup, right? It just does. And then you're going to say, okay, then your defense got to force some turnovers, try to win this football game. Special teams got to make plays, and your offense can't hurt you. Off the top of my head, that's what you're thinking, right?
Yes.
But this thing could be totally different. They could come out and, oh my God, look at Sellers. Oh my God, look at Rocket. Look at the offensive line. Oh my God, the receivers. Blah, 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 blah. Not saying that's going to happen, but we've seen a few times in this 3+ year run with Shane that as soon as you think there's no hope, all of a sudden that Monday you're going, wow, didn't see that W coming. So we'll find out. Shane's coming up at 1 o'clock. 1:30 was last year. 1 o'clock, Shane Beamer speaking to the media. And our buddy Elijah Campbell will be there. And then Elijah will jump in with us and give us his thoughts probably in the 2 o'clock hour. Tyler Head, Terry Ford, halftime show. We'll get back in here. Continue this conversation. We talked about the run game. And we talked about the offensive line and the backs. Little numbers on that situation next on the halftime show.
107.5 The Game.
In Columbia.
100.5 The Game.
In Florence.
100.3 The Game.
In Myrtle Beach. The Game Network. We all love streaking. I mean, streaming. Until we have to pay for it. But not when you stream The Game.
And how much does it cost?
It's free. Just go to iTunes or Google Play and download the 107.5 The Game app. And stream for no charge. And listen for no charge. 107.5 The Game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios.
Take up to $20,000 off new Silverados.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
I'm with Jason Reynolds of the Samuels Reynolds Law Firm. Jason, what makes your firm different?
I think the way we present ourselves and treat our clients makes us different. We don't show injured workers, horrible vehicle accidents, or stacks of cash in our advertising. That's because injuries really affect people's lives, and we take that seriously. Our clients come to us in their toughest times, and we're truly committed to helping them in every way possible.
Samuels Reynolds. True injuries, true lawyers. 803-779-4000.
Nothing slows down a job like not having the right equipment. Maybe your favorite zero-turn or push mower is getting repaired right now. Or maybe you want to take advantage of some dry weather to finally aerate or dethatch your lawn. Or maybe you just want a great excuse to mow with our super cool Gravely EV. Either way, come to Cato's, where we have a ton of new rental equipment available for daily, weekly, and monthly rentals. Cato's Power Equipment is here to bring you solutions to keep your yard or your customer's yard looking their best. Give us a call at 803-254-3711.
Start making your plans to catch a game at Williams-Brice Stadium this fall. Single game tickets for the 2024 Gamecock football season are on sale now. For more information, visit GamecocksOnline.com/2024. Whatever the game, whoever you're with, just catch a game.
Carolina Honda Powerhouse is your local Honda ATV, side-by-side, and motorcycle superstore. Hunters, now's the time to upgrade to a new Honda ATV or side-by-side and get free gear. Right now, buy a Honda Pioneer 700 or 1000 side-by-side and get a free top and windshield. Need an ATV? Get a free winch with the purchase of a new full-size Honda ATV. On-road or off-road, all roads lead to Carolina Honda Powerhouse. Exit 70 off I-20 and turn by the Flying J. CarolinaHonda.com.
Powered by Integrated Media, The Game TV.
Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality.
The Game TV.
Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass.
It's that time of year where fall is upon us and football is back, and there's no better place to catch all of the action than at Steel Hands Brewing. Steel Hands Brewing is your destination brewery for any and all music and events, including their annual Oktoberfest coming up Friday, October 4th. Activities include authentic German music, contests, and a delicious menu of Oktoberfest-themed delights, plus the launch of their fest beer. There's something for everyone at Steel Hands Brewing, hand-forged right here in Casey.
Healthy Connections Medicaid members, did you know you need to renew your Medicaid coverage each year? You can complete your annual Medicaid eligibility review or check your status online at apply.scdhhs.gov. Healthy Connections Medicaid members can now create an ID.me account to easily stay up to date and report household changes. Visit apply.scdhhs.gov to learn more. And remember, submit your review when it's time to renew. This message is from Healthy Connections Medicaid and paid for by DPH.
From lazy days and spontaneous adventures to revving up and reconnecting, you can almost feel the excitement building, the road ahead, and a whole new season of possibilities. It's back to cool time right now at Love Chevy with amazing savings on a lot chock full of brand new Tahoes, Suburbans, and the totally redesigned Chevy Traverse. A bolder exterior design, turbocharged V6, best-in-class cargo area, plenty of space for the team and the tailgate. Speaking of football, every day is game day at Love Chevy, where it's all about the fundamentals, honesty, integrity, and straight talk. No ridiculous add-on stickers like the other guys. And who could forget about Love Chevy's $1,000 low price guarantee? Get back to cool today at South Carolina's #1 volume Chevy dealer, I-26 at Harbison, and at lovechevy.com. Together, let's drive.
That's the power of love. Love Chevy.
The Halftime Show, sponsored by the Men's Clinic of South Carolina, on your home of the Gamecocks. In Columbia, 107.5 The Game.
Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach.
And 100.5 The Game in Florence. And the 107.5 The Game app.
Oh, halftime show. Terry Ford, Tyler Head. We go till 3 here on The Game. Shane Beamer, 1 o'clock presser. Obviously, Shane will, finish up a bit talking about Old Dominion and then moving forward to Kentucky this Saturday. Gamecocks Game Day pregame live from O'Hara's in Lexington at 10:30. Network jumps in at 12:30, and then a 3:30 kick at Kentucky. Kroger Field still. They haven't changed it, right? Still Kroger Field?
To my knowledge, yes.
At Kroger Field, Wildcats and Gamecocks. So we talked about the run game yesterday. This is interesting. Remember we talked about, and I haven't gotten this stat yet. We talked about 2 stats before the season started. 1, yards before contact, which to me is the most important one I'm still digging for. Second one is yards after contact. Rocket Sanders ran for 80, according to Pro Football Focus, Rocket Sanders ran for 88 yards on Saturday. Guess how many yards after contact? According to Pro Football Focus.
Go for it.
83.
It's a telling stat.
He averaged 3.46 yards after contact per carry.
Mm-hmm.
Saying our boy Lenore Sellers. 81 yards rushing, 53 yards after contact, 2.5 yards gained after contact. South Carolina, so you look at it, just those 2 guys, 136 yards after contact between them. South Carolina as a football team, if you take away sacks and kneel downs, according to Pro Football Focus, gained 214 yards on the ground Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
148 of it was after contact. So that tells you, a nice job done by Rocket Sanders and Lenore Sellers, especially picking up yards after contact. Number 2, what it tells you is that 69% of your yards gained rushing the football was after contact.
Right.
According to Pro Football Focus.
Not the most ringing endorsement for your offensive line.
Which tells you why the run game grades were where they were.
Yes.
Because I believe almost everyone except Trevon Baugh was under 60% with their, I got to go back and look at it because I'm doing it off the top of my head. I think Baugh is the only one whose run game blocking grade was over 60.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody else was, it was barely over 60. So despite the fact that, South Carolina in theory, take away kneel downs and sacks, you gain 214 yards on the ground, 4 yards a carry, which really in today's college football is below average, 4 yards a carry. In the old days, that was the NFL average. Now the NFL average even like 4.2 or 4.3.
Mm-hmm.
So you're a little below yards per carry on average, but you did gain over 200 when you take away the kneel downs and sacks, but 69% of those yards are after contact. And that's not just the offensive line, the tight ends, the receivers. Everybody's got blocked better in the run game. Because if that's going to be your bread and butter, you better butter the bleeping bread better, right?
Yeah.
And look, I get it. Wide receivers don't want to block. No, look, again, I played the position at a very low level. I know. You didn't go out there going, man, coach put me at wide receiver. I can't wait to throw some blocks. You got to block. Tight ends, you got to block.
Well, and especially for a guy like Rocket Sanders who thrives in those, or at least he did when he was at Arkansas, on those outside type of runs. You got to make sure you're picking him up on the outside.
Yeah, if you just get in somebody's way, that's maybe 5 extra yards or more on a running play.
Fling your body at them.
Yeah,
you don't have to engage as much as the left tackle does, but yeah, just provide an obstacle between you and the runner.
Exactly. Get in the way.
Yeah, somehow.
So, like Lenore Sellers did to Juju McDowell. Just get in the way.
Now, to give him credit, he was attempting to set up for a block, but
he was trying to block.
His long legs got tangled up with Juju's short legs.
I guarantee you, Shane would probably say, yeah, but he was trying. He was attempting to throw a block to help his running back. But no, I mean, so that's just a little bit more insight on what Sellers and Sanders did that they could control in the run game
And it's actually kind of funny you mentioned that, because when you look at Sanders' numbers from when he was at Arkansas, he broke a lot of tackles there.
Mm-hmm.
Now his offensive line 2 seasons ago was regarded as pretty decent.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as you didn't have Rocket Sanders anymore, they became the worst offensive line in the SEC.
Terrible.
And again, kind of looking back, it's like, well, no, I think Rocket Sanders just kind of made them look better than they did because he was able to consistently break tackles and get more yards after contact.
Yeah, so I just want to bring that stat up, that it was interesting once I was looking at it that both of those guys combined had so many yards after contact. Now, I think where I get the stat yards before contact is through SEC StatCat.
Mm-hmm.
SEC StatCat will get to South Carolina at some point this week.
It takes him a few days. He's doing it by himself.
Not to be mean, South Carolina Old Dominion, probably not high on the pecking order this week for SEC StatCat.
I wouldn't think so.
But once we get those numbers, because I think, look, there's 2 big important numbers that I think we're going to look at on our little get-together here every week. A is yards before contact, and B is success rate on first down. Success rate on first down, we did this yesterday, 26%. It's got to get better. What was it, 7 for 30, I believe it was. 7 times, 30 first down opportunities on Saturday. 30 first and 10s, you gained 5 yards or more in only 7 of those. That's not a good success rate. So you got to get better there. And 2, we'll see what the yards before contact are, because the yards after contact's impressive for Sellers and Sanders, but probably not so impressive if you're looking at the offensive line. My guess, Tyler, after seeing this number, your yards before contact is not going to be very good.
Right.
Just guessing. Just spitballing. Hey, there's a football game last night.
Yeah, it's a football game that happened.
Look, I don't hate Florida State. Matter of fact, I said they got screwed out of a spot in the college football playoff. I don't hate them. But I'm not going to lie. All that chest thumping and all that flexing you did in the offseason about how wonderful and great and awesome and fantastic you are and how you're slumming in the ACC. First 2 weeks have been quite entertaining. We're going to get to that next. Oh, by the way, Boston College just ran for another first down. We will talk about last night's get-together at Doak Campbell in Tallahassee. As the Seminoles for the college football playoff, unless they do something unbelievable for the rest of the year, or the ACC totally craters, I think the Florida State computer number now, percentage of being able to make the college football playoff is 1%. We'll get into it next. Halftime show. Terry Ford, Tyler Head. We roll till 3 here on The Game.
The Game Network in Columbia.
107.5 The Game.
In Florence.
100.5 The Game.
In Myrtle Beach.
100.3 The Game.
It's back! The Lawyer Lisa Special Teams Contest. Just go to 1075thegame.com and register. The pot starts at $100. Every week it increases $100 if Carolina doesn't score a special teams touchdown. But if the Gamecocks do score a special teams touchdown, you could win the pool. Again, just go to 1075thegame.com and register. It's the Lawyer Lisa Special Teams Contest from 1075 The Game.
For appliances with Reliances, that's Jeffers McGill.
Come see the entire line of Whirlpool appliances at 1421 Atlas Road. Whirlpool offers bigger, better, and more efficient appliances. And Jeffers McGill offers the best in customer service and low prices. Jeffers McGill and Whirlpool, your home team.
For appliances with Reliances, that's Jeffers McGill.
Hey, this is Brian Glenn, owner of Village Idiot Pizza. You know your favorite Columbia Pizza shop is franchising? We're excited to welcome franchise operators to our team as we grow throughout the Southeast. Ever thought you'd like to see a Village Idiot in your community? I'm talking to you, Lexington, Irmo, Chapin, Blythewood. Village Idiot Pizza has been bringing people together for community and pizza in Columbia for over 30 years. If you know someone who's ready to join a proven system and be their own boss, join our village. For more info, visit villageidiotpizza.com.
What you're talking about. Sponsored by Love Chevy, where the winning is only beginning. South Carolina's #1 volume Chevy dealer. I-26 at Harbison and at lovechevy.com. Together, let's drive.
This year, Roy and Dana Finley are shaking things up at AAA Heating and Air. For the next 12 months, they're telling their customers no. Get a new system purchase with no payments and no interest for a whole year. You heard that right. Purchase a brand new system in 2024 and get no payments and no interest until 2025. Do what I did. Call AAA Heating and Air today for your free estimate. 803-677-1500. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
AAA Air when you need us. AAA Heating and Air.
Did you know you could use your body's own healing properties to revitalize your achy joints? I didn't. Well, guess what? The good folks at QC Kinetics can help you with real lasting pain relief. Hey, it's Preston Thorne, and I'm talking about regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics has new medicine. And I'll tell you what, they didn't have this way back in the days when I used to play. Go all the way back to 2004. If you had a torn ACL, that was it. But now the good folks at QC Kinetics can give you solid new advice and help you enhance your joints, improve mobility, and get back to doing the stuff you love. I wish I would have had this way back then. You can enhance your joints and improve mobility and get back to doing the stuff you love, whatever that is, playing ball, playing with your kids, walking, or just getting out of a chair. Without pain and without drugs, no surgery, and especially no downtime. Call them up for a consultation. It's totally free. Give them a call at 803-281-6860. That's 803-281-6860.
What's up, Gamecocks? Summer is officially here, and those famously hot temps, they aren't going anywhere soon. Super hot days can be incredibly stressful on your lawn, and even more stressful on the person maintaining it. So don't spend hours pushing around an old lawnmower or going 2 miles an hour on a bumpy old rider. Come to Cato's Power Equipment. Whether you have just a few weeds or tons of acres of grass to keep cut, our huge selection of Toro, Gravely, and Aaron zero turns will make short work of your yard. Guaranteed. Spend more time where it matters this summer. And let Cato's Power Equipment help make your yard an oasis, not a chore.
Are you a Gamecock fan that's looking for flexibility to attend the games you want without committing to season tickets? If so, the Gamecock Go Pass is for you. For only $20 a month, your Gamecock Go Pass subscription provides you with access to all non-conference football games, most men's and women's basketball and baseball games, and all softball, soccer, and volleyball games. Plus, you have the ability to add on tickets for conference football games and premier basketball and baseball games for an additional cost. To learn more and sign up today, visit thegamecockclub.com/go.
Hey, it's Rich Eisen here. Join me and my compadre, Chris Brockman, every Monday on the Overreaction Monday podcast.
You're also saying the record's going to go down.
I'm saying the record's going down anyway. The guy.
I don't think you're off on this at all. Like, you're spot on here. I don't think this is an overreaction because we have no idea what we're reacting to.
Come react or overreact with us.
How would you say that? An overreaction, sir.
Overreaction Monday, wherever you listen.
It's game over. Over, man.
What you're talking about.
Sponsored by Love Chevrolet.
On the Game Network.
And they will snap it. Not a hard count. A sidearm lob, and it's intercepted. Max Tucker down the sideline. Inside the 10-yard line.
That's what we're talking about right now. DJU throwing it to the other team. Florida State's defense getting run over for a second straight week. Seminoles are 0-2. Like I said, I think the analytics have Florida State a 1% chance now to make the college football playoff. Oh, well. Oh, well, oh, well, oh, well.
Well, it's funny because going into the season, I think a lot of people thought they were kind of shoo-ins. I mean, you looked at their schedule, okay, Miami, Notre Dame, sure, there might be a loss, maybe even two in there, but surely they'd be good enough to at least be in Charlotte for the ACC championship game coming up in December, right? Like, at this point in time, I'm looking at their schedule now. Could they get to a bowl game? Because at this on the track they're currently on, it doesn't look that way.
Well, okay, so before yesterday, because you go, okay, Georgia Tech, you went off to Dublin. Maybe Georgia Tech's better than everybody thinks. It happens. You got a bunch of dudes coming through the portal. Maybe you're a little rusty, blah, 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 right? But surely, when you come home to Doak Campbell Stadium in Tallahassee in front of your fans in your home opener against a team that was picked, 33rd in the ACC, you should be able to right the ship, correct?
You should.
How'd that go?
Didn't go well. And it wasn't, I mean, the Georgia Tech game, it did come down to a last-second field goal. They did still out-physical Florida State for that entire game. This was just dominance on Boston College part. Like, they jumped on you from the get-go. What the closest it got was 14-3, I guess, and they just managed the gap from there.
Well, what's happened these last 2 weeks is Florida State's been punched in the face, and they haven't reacted very well. I mean, defensively, they've been run over. I mean, Boston College went for almost 270 last night on the ground, and Georgia Tech kicked them in the lower extremities for 4 quarters. So again, look, DJU we'll get to in a minute, but if I'm Mike Norvell, I'm sitting around going, whoa, what's going on with my defense? Because my defense is just getting worked. The other side is, look, Uiagalelei is who he is. We talked about this coming this season. Remember, we were sitting here saying the biggest thing with Florida State, I didn't think their defense would be this bad, was you're replacing Jordan Travis, a really good college quarterback, with Uiagalelei, who has shown you at Clemson and Oregon State, he's not consistently accurate. Yeah, you know what? He's one of these guys, right? Man, he looks like a football player when he gets off the bus. Problem is, he has to play the position of quarterback where he struggles with the mechanical part of the game.
Well, and I said every program he's been to said, well, we'll be able to fix that. You know, and here's the weird thing about DJU is, like, when he filled in for Trevor Lawrence during the COVID year, like, he looked the part in that game against Notre Dame that they lost, but still good performance by him. But then when the reins were handed over to him, he just couldn't handle it. And had problems throwing down the field. And like you saw last night, trouble making even some of the easier throws that a 5-star quarterback of his caliber shouldn't have any issue with. And again, when he's at Clemson for a couple of years, like, we'll work on that. We'll develop that. Didn't work. Goes to Oregon State, work on that. We'll develop that. Pretty much the same. Now he's at Florida State. Same thing's being said in the offseason. We'll get him to where he needs to be. It hasn't looked like that through 2 games.
No, I mean, he struggles. He struggles throwing the ball down the field. You and I were talking about these stats this morning. Anything over 10 yards down the field, Uiagalelei is just not consistent.
He was slightly better last year at Oregon State, but still, it wasn't. great, and he's not off to a great start this year with that.
No, and that's the thing. He was a little bit, if you look at the numbers, he was a little bit better in Corvallis, throwing it down the field, but still nothing spectacular. And if you looked at his overall numbers last year and compared them to Jordan Travis,
oh, it's night and day.
So I guess my thought is, if you're Florida State and you needed a quarterback, and obviously you were going to go portal hunting for a quarterback, I get it. And there was a lot of talk. They were sniffing around Cam Ward.
Mm-hmm.
Did you go get Uiagalelei because everybody else was taken? Because remember, they didn't jump in quick on the portal with the quarterback. So did you kind of leave yourself with your backside exposed, so to speak, and you looked around and said, well, DJU's the best guy out there? Or this is more scary, did you target that guy? Knowing that he has issues throwing it down the field at Clemson and at Oregon State, did you say, we can fix that? We'll fix him. We're Florida State. We'll put him on the horse. We'll run him around the stadium. We'll, sprinkle the magic Seminole dust on him. Because to me, that's more concerning. That you thought you could take a guy who has proven over how many years?
4.
That he cannot throw the football consistently down the field. Where you had a guy, might not have had an NFL caliber arm, you know what he was? He was accurate.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an issue of, if you really thought this was your guy, that would concern me more as a Seminole fan than if, all the other guys are taken. Or the other concerning thing, could we not pony up the NIL dough to go get somebody else?
Mm-hmm.
Because you would not have to pay as much, Tyler, for Uiagalelei as you would for Cam Ward. Or the kid Howard who ended up at Will Howard ended up at Ohio State. Just saying. It brings a lot of questions when you watch Uiagalelei play, and you go, you thought this guy was going to be next in line?
It's pretty bad when before the end of your first home game, as a starter, they're already chanting for your backup, Brock Glenn, who I believe started the bowl game for them last year.
We want Brock. We want Brock. We want Brock. You know what half of them are doing? Who's the backup quarterback? Anybody know? We just have to chant for this guy. We want who?
There's nobody more popular than the backup quarterback on a bad team.
Wouldn't it be great if they did this? We want what's his name? We want what's his name? We want anybody but DJU.
Anybody but you.
Yes. How good is that? So, yeah, that was a problem. But the biggest problem is the Florida State defense is terrible. But let's also give some love to Boston College. Look, I don't know what BC is going to be. I don't know what Georgia Tech's going to be. We know Florida State most likely won't be a college football playoff squad unless they win the ACC championship game. But what you saw from Boston College last night was some serious fight, and they've got a real head coach. Look, we get so caught up in what Bill O'Brien was a terrible general manager in Houston. He shouldn't have been the GM, and there was a power struggle, and Bill won it. And you had the weird Svengali dude around there, mesmerizing everybody and all that mess that went on. Take a step back and look at Bill O'Brien's record as a head coach.
Sure.
He's a good head coach. Is he great? No. He's good. He wins. He will make Boston College a solid program. They'll probably never be great, right? Because it's just not built to be great.
Yeah.
But I think Bill O'Brien will make them a solid program. He won at Penn State. He won with the Texans in Houston. They will be a solid program that goes to bowl games more years than not if he stays at BC.
Right.
Because who knows? But, yeah, that was an interesting one last night. All right, Shane Beamer, speaking of quarterbacking, Shane Beamer in the postgame on Saturday night, obviously Lenore Sellers' issues throwing the football consistently to anyone on Saturday. Here's Shane Beamer talking about Sellers' missed throws.
I don't know. I think he, certainly there's some throws he'd like to have back. I think he'll be the first to tell you he missed some. We threw a post early in the second half that had the route underneath it. I think was probably when he sees the tape, wishes he had gone there. And some of those, maybe a high throw, but could be the wide receiver or tight end not running his depth potentially at the right route. So a lot to clean up, no question about it. And we will. I mean, you guys, I've told you this, and would I have liked to have thrown the ball tonight more than 114 yards? Absolutely. But I also know that we're going to get better throwing the football. We had 3 receivers that played a lot of snaps tonight that weren't even here during spring practice, in Camp and Dre and Nick. So those are 3 receivers that didn't even get here until June. And, I'm not making an excuse. We need to be better. We've had 2 months with them, but we're going to continue to develop that chemistry with the receivers. Mike Smith played a lot tonight at tight end. He wasn't here during spring practice, and transfer receivers that have come in. So we're a work in progress, and we'll continue to get better throwing the ball, running the ball, playing defense, playing special teams for sure.
We have our Firehouse Sub Text the Hour coming up. I want to dig into this a little bit, him talking about the throwing of the football with Lenore Sellers. Some thoughts. I think we just scratched a little bit on this yesterday. I want to kind of expound on it with the passing game and kind of what was up. We'll get to that, and also our Firehouse Sub Text the Hour coming up at 803-404-6100. Almost had a special teams touchdown on Saturday. We kind of did, and then it got called back. So it doesn't count. Lawyer Lisa Special Teams Contest. The pot is now currently $200. You just go to 1075thegame.com. Look at that little flippy thingy. You click on Lawyer Lisa Special Teams Contest, and you fill out the little form, hit submit, and if South Carolina does score a special teams touchdown, we will do a drawing Monday morning, 7:30, and we'll have a winner of $200 if South Carolina scores a special teams touchdown. We'll do this every week. Last year we got to $1,000. It was a thing last year. So now we're at 200. Get on in on 1075thegame.com, the Lawyer Lisa Special Teams Contest. We'll come back, talk about the passing game, hit the Firehouse Sub, text the hour at 803-404-6100, take you to the top of the hour. Shane Beamer's weekly presser then at 1 o'clock right here in Columbia on The Game.
From the Midlands to the PD to the beach.
The Game Network.
Sips and Sounds, the only craft beer, wine, and spirits tasting event held indoors under the cool AC. No rain, no heat, no worries. Unlimited sampling of over 40 brands of local and national craft beers, wine, seltzers, and spirits. Live performances by Ken and Drew of Sister Hazel, Dazer, and the Donovan Twins.
Saturday, September 28th. Get your unlimited tasting wristbands now at sipsandsoundscola.com.
This is Andrew Perloff with a Sports Minute sponsored by Angie. Angie makes it easier than ever to get your home projects done well. Get started at Angie.com. Brian Kelly isn't happy. LSU lost its opener USC and their coach has had enough. But his temper alone isn't going to win games. Kelly makes a lot of money. LSU expects him to compete. The Tigers better turn this around quick or Kelly will have to start worrying about everyone else's anger as well. I'm Andrew Perloff.
You can host the best backyard barbecue when you find a professional on Angie to make your backyard the best around. Connect with skilled professionals to get all your home projects done well. Inside to outside, repairs to renovations. Get started on the Angie app or visit Angie.com today. You can do this when you Angie that.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate. And look at you, hands perfectly placed on the wheel. Not like the driver to the right of you who's really going after that drum solo. Save with DriveWise and the Allstate app and only pay a rate based on you.
Not available in every state, subject to terms and conditions. Rating factors and savings vary, and in some states your rate could increase with high-risk driving. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
With Labor Day savings at the Home Depot, you can upgrade your home with up to $1,500 off select appliances from top brands like Whirlpool. Enhance your kitchen with quality and convenience from Whirlpool, like the freestanding electric range with built-in air fryer and the tall tub dishwasher with third rack, all available at the Home Depot. Right now, shop Labor Day savings up to $1,500 off select appliances at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Pricing valid August 22nd through September 11th. U.S. only. See store online for details.
Lowe's knows saving pros time and money means getting the job done easier. Right now, save 10% on Georgia Pacific vinyl siding panels. Plus, save an additional 20% when you buy in bulk. And get free same-day delivery to the job site when you order by 2 p.m. Because Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. Offer valid through 9/4. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase. See sales associate for details. Exclusions apply. See Lowe's.com/same-day delivery for details.
Febreze. Fabric Talk. Hey, it's me, your couch. Today's my favorite day of the week. Febreze Fabric Spray Day. The occasional deep cleans are nice, but in between, you know I'm needing a refresh. Ooh, here she comes with the Febreze Fabric Spray. Oh yeah, spritz them armrests. Don't be shy. Nothing like a good spray down to get me smelling so fresh and clean. Don't forget my back. Nice. Febreze Fabric Spray. It's just that easy. Now we can both breathe happy. Febreze. La 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 la.
The Halftime Show, sponsored by the Men's Clinic of South Carolina.
It's time for Text of the Hour on the Firehouse Subs text line on the Halftime Show.
On your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia, 107.5 The Game.
Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach.
And 100.5 The Game in Florence.
And the 107.5 The Game app.
Our Firehouse Sub text the hour, 803-404-6100. Let's hit that first. What do you got there, man?
Scott says, did not expect Sellers to have so many designed run plays. I do not think he will last the season running the ball that much. I think their time could be used more wisely by him using his legs, be able to get out and find receivers and improve the passing game, which will help the running game.
Yes, 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 and yes. Excellent text. Yeah, I mean, you can use your legs. Like, you see some of the best quarterbacks in football, whether it's pro, college, wherever. Like again, Patrick Mahomes obviously is just a freak of nature in so many ways. But if you watch Mahomes, like, if there's pressure, he'll use his legs to evade and avoid the pressure, right?
Yeah.
But what does he do? He keeps his eyes down the field the whole time, looking to make a play in the passing game. We saw Sellers do that in the spring game. Multiple times, Sellers broke the pocket in the spring game, kept his eyes up and looked downfield to make a play.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, excellent text. You're correct. You really are. It was a good text. We touched on this a little bit yesterday, but I want to expound on it a bit more. Because watching Sellers in the spring game, he looked so comfortable. You saw him in those little bits he played in mop-up garbage time. I feel like on Saturday, you walk out there and you've had all the success in your bits and pieces of playing, right? You've had success, obviously, in practice. You're feeling pretty good, right? This is going pretty good for me.
Sure.
Then you run into your first bit of what? Adversity. First bit of... Remember, he was 4 for 4 throwing the ball going into Saturday. He'd never had an incompletion.
Right.
And all of a sudden you have a couple. Then maybe you start to press a bit. I think some of the incompletions, this is me, it felt like when watching him throw before and then seeing some of those throws on Saturday, it's almost like he was trying to do too much with it. Like when you go to throw a pass and you throw to somebody's feet, typically there's a reason. You don't go, you know where I'm going to put this ball? By his feet. Sometimes you just try to do too much with it. Either you're trying to put too much on it, you're trying to be too precise, you're not throwing, you're aiming, or you just got too much juice, or you're pressing, right? There's usually something behind or when you're throwing it 10 feet over a guy's head.
Mm-hmm.
Could have got Nick Harbor legitimately, legally decapitated.
Yes.
But there was like a few of those throws. There, you're trying to do too much, you're pressing. Or are you not naturally letting the flow of your ability take over? Are you trying to do too much? Because, again, you've run into what, Tyler? Adversity for the first time.
Yeah, it's like you're thinking about throw too much instead of just going through your motions and doing it how you probably did it a million times in practice, which that goes back to something that I've brought up before. Like, we look at what he did in the spring game. We look at, what we've heard about him in the scrimmages. And, for all indications, everything was good there. But again, you know what you're up against with your own defense, with the same guys that you've been practicing against all week. This was the first time in a starting role he's had to do that against a team that he didn't know what was coming. He didn't know everything about, besides what he saw on film and stuff like that. And again, you hope that's not a precursor of what's to come, because it's only going to get harder from here.
That's why I think, those throws, if we'd have seen him throw it like that before, then you go, okay, that's, we've seen it before. But you've seen him throw it better in the times you've seen him throw it.
Sure.
And so it's almost like, okay, how much of that was from the neck up?
Right.
Because we look at him as such a cool customer, and he's so even-keeled, and we've heard all that, and I'm not saying it's not true, but when you go out there for the first time, it's your offense. It's your team. And the first few throws don't connect. Or maybe you have too much juice in the beginning because you're so amped up, right?
Right.
But then you miss some. Then you miss a couple more. And before you know it, now you're in your own head. I'm not saying for sure, because, Linares and I, we don't hang in 5 points together.
Right.
But when you're making throws that are that much off the mark, when we haven't seen you miss like that, because that wasn't Old Dominion. That wasn't like Old Dominion was forcing those throws. That was Linares Sellers airmailing a few, throwing a couple, worm burners. That wasn't Old Dominion's coverage or pass rush or whatever the case. That was just Linares Sellers being highly inaccurate. Now, to Shane's point, maybe a receiver on some of those throws didn't run the route the right depth.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. Maybe an overthrow was a dude should be 3 yards down the field. I don't know about throwing it at the feet, but maybe there was some stuff there we don't know in miscommunication. I feel like these things can be fixable. Like, for an example, not to be mean, Robbie Ashford, we know what's up there.
Mm-hmm.
He has legitimately had trouble consistently, accurately throwing the football. So if Robbie Ashford's making those throws, you go like this. That's who that guy is a lot.
Yeah.
But with Sellers, I feel like maybe some of that was from the neck up stuff that can be corrected as you move forward. But we'll see, right? We'll see in Lexington. Kentucky, last time I checked, pretty good defense. But appreciate the text at 803-404-6100. Shane Beamer's Weekly Presser coming up next right here on your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia and in Myrtle Beach. The Game.
107.5 The Game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios.
Take up to $20,000 off new Silverados.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
Hi, my husband and I own a small business in Columbia, and we ended up needing some help with some tax problems that we had and needed to get resolved. We initially owed about $300,000, and John Ecton and his law firm ended up getting us an offer in compromise, which dramatically reduced the amount owed. I would personally recommend the Ecton Law Firm. They did an excellent job for us, and if this is a concern that you're facing, they're definitely the people you should call.
It's great to know we have changed people's lives for the better. Hi, this is local attorney John Ecton with the Ecton Law Firm. For over a decade, our office has been dedicated to helping hardworking individuals and businesses solve tax problems for good. So if you have years of unfiled tax returns or are facing IRS wage levies, bank levies, or tax liens, call our office today at 771-9800 or go to EctonLawFirm.com. That's ECTON lawfirm.com. Let's get your tax problem solved for good. Call today. You'll be glad you did.
What you're talking about. Sponsored by Love Chevy. It's back to cool season with big-time savings on Tahoe Suburbans and the all-new Chevy Traverse. I-26 at Harbison and at lovechevy.com. Together, let's drive.
This is Graham Murray, appliance specialist for The Nest. We offer unique and affordable products in plumbing, lighting, and appliances. We have product specialists on site to provide you the attention to detail and service you deserve. We believe in hard work, doing whatever it takes to get the job done, and providing exceptional customer experience. Our appliance division offers in-house consultation. We have an in-house installation and warranty division. Our staff has nearly 70 years experience. Come see us at 1331 Gadsden Street in the heart part of the Vista.
If you're seeing dust on your baseboards, vents, and ducts, or maybe you're having to swap out that air filter a little more frequently than you used to, you need to do what I did. It's time to call the experts at Zerust Air Duct Cleaning. All you have to do is mention me, Bill Gunner, at 1075 The Game to get $50 off your next air duct service. Use code AIR50 at ZerustColumbia.com. Zerust, spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean.
Firehouse Subs, hook and ladder jingle, take one.
Hook and ladder, when it's hot, it just tastes better. Warm that smoky turkey, that thin slice.
Guys, this is a 30-second ad. You gotta sing faster.
Hook and ladder, when it's hot, it just tastes better. Melty cheese and toast spread, mustard, mayo, purple spread, lettuce, green, and onion. The sandwich is too big for the song. It's too big.
The Hook and Ladder, available only at participating Firehouse Subs restaurants.
The Gamecock Go Pass is back. For only $20 a month, you'll receive access to all non-conference football games, most men's and women's basketball and baseball games, and all softball, soccer, and volleyball games. To learn more about the Gamecock Go Pass, visit thegamecockclub.com/go.
Honey, look, the hookers. They've moved off the highway and now they're all over the parking lot.
What are all those Schroeder's towing trucks doing in that parking lot, though?
Must be towing all those unauthorized cars parked in the lot. Good thing the business owner called Schroeder's Towing to keep their parking lot clear for just their customers. Didn't those cars see the free signage that Schroeder's provides to business owners to deter unauthorized parking?
I guess not.
Schroeder's Towing, the best and fastest hookers in town.
Join Lexington Medical Center for the Tunnel to Towers Columbia 5K Run and Walk on Friday, September 13th at 7 p.m. This unforgettable patriotic event champions the heroism of our nation's first responders and service members. Then stick around for the after party featuring live music, family-friendly events, and food trucks. Walk or run to honor our heroes. To register, visit T2TRun.org. Opening ceremony at 6 p.m.
WNKT FM Eastover, Columbia.
The home of the national champion Gamecocks women's basketball team. Congrats, y'all.
A Cumulus media station.
The Halftime Show, sponsored by the Men's Clinic of South Carolina.
Not feeling like yourself? Call the Men's Clinic at 803-875-MENS.
It's 1 o'clock. That means football. Football. And more football on the Halftime Show.
Is sponsored by Atlantic Window and Door. Go to awdsc.com.
On the Game Network and the 1075 The Game app.
Shane Beamer's presser coming up here on the Halftime Show as we do football in the 1 o'clock hour, sponsored by Atlantic Windows and Doors. Shane, obviously, will look back a bit more on what happened week 1 against Old Dominion and also look forward to the week 2 tilt against Kentucky and Lexington. Probably go over the depth chart, Tyler, in detail, the new depth chart, which really didn't have a whole lot different than the first one. The Shane's coming up here in just a second with the weekly presser. Let's hit it, Tyler.
Now, let's hear from the coach. Shane Beamer's press conference, sponsored by Crescent Construction, the official roofer of the Gamecocks.
All right, let's get to it. Shane Beamer's weekly presser right now here on the Game in Columbia and Myrtle Beach.
Appreciate everyone coming out. Great to see everyone. Before I get started, certainly just want to thank the fans again for last Saturday. I think it was the second hottest game on record, if I'm
Is he gone?
He's still there. I think his audio cut out. He is standing at the podium and smiling in front of the microphone. I think they're having some technical problems.
Okay, we'll just hang here until he comes back.
We'll keep him up.
Yeah, keep him up, and when he starts talking, we'll stop talking. It was hot. I remember walking from the party lot at Sound and Images on Bluff to the stadium, and I wasn't like out of breath or like winded or anything, but I remember, why am I sweating profusely? I'm just walking to the stadium. That was some serious humidity. So if you did, hey, I mean, and the crowd was there and geeked, and yeah, it was miserable. But then we had the lightning delay. And some folks are like, I think I'm good where I'm at now. Whether it was out tailgate lot or wherever they went, especially the student section. So the lightning delay did hamper the crowd. There's no doubt. And look, again, I'm not a weather guru, a weather expert, even though I am AMS certified. It was sunny the whole time at Williams-Brice. And it's tough to sell people when you're stopping a game for X amount length of time over a lightning strike somewhere in the area when you're sitting at a stadium that's mostly sunny, right?
Right.
There we go.
Okay. There was apparently some kind of alarm going off. See, he's still not back at the podium yet.
Well, we'll get back when he's ready.
I'll let you know.
Yeah, let me know. And so, look, I'm not saying, hey, that's stupid, because, again, who knew where the lightning was? You always want to, lean on the side of caution. I get all that. But it is a tough sell when you're sitting there going, it's sunny here. Don't really see any lightning bolts anywhere.
Juju's reaction was probably the best after his what maybe could have been a touchdown run until Sellers tripped him up. And you're looking up at the sky. I don't see anything.
And everybody was like, what's Juju so upset about? Well, Juju just found out that it's a lightning delay.
Yeah.
And he looked up at the sky like, really? Sun's out. Well, what are we doing here? And that did stop momentum on that drive. It just did. South Carolina was moving the ball, and then all of a sudden you stop everything for a lightning delay. Again, it's not the reason the game was closer than it should have been, but that was one of those little things where you go, that game was filled with those little things, wasn't it?
Sure.
The lightning delay, you had a touchdown on a fake field goal that got called back. You had a deep throw that, again, look, when we say Jared Brown dropped it, did he drop it? Yeah, no one's saying that was an easy catch.
Right.
That was like a over-the-shoulder Willie Mays kind of thing.
All right, he's coming back.
Here we go. Shane Beamer, his presser, take 2 here on the game.
That was a test, in case y'all didn't notice. Yep. And for all the jokes of me saying I'm not going to stand up here like an idiot, and people probably saying you are an idiot and things like that as well, brought that on myself also. But as I was saying, thanks to our fans, second hottest game on record from what I understand last weekend. It was loud. Gamecock Walk was awesome, and then the electricity in there was fantastic. And hate that we had the weather delay, but crowd noise was a factor even till the end. I mean, Old Dominion had some pre-snap penalties there at the end of the game when they were backed up down there by the cockpit. So appreciate the fans that were there and making Saturday great, and hopefully next Saturday when we're back in Columbia it'll be even better. Congratulations to Kyle Kennard and Dylan Stewart on being an SEC Defensive Lineman of the Week. Awesome kudos and recognition for those guys. Certainly well deserved, without a doubt, and hopefully the first of many for those guys, and then other ones on our defense also. I know we've had some defensive tackles that have won that award in the past, and surely believe that we'll have other guys on our defense winning it this year as the year goes on. Excited to open up SEC play this week up in Lexington. Have great respect for Coach Stoops personally and his program. Always enjoy going up to Lexington. As many of you know, I lived in Kentucky for 8 years and grew up in elementary school following UK athletics, and Louisville athletics was rolling at the time in basketball with Denny Crum and Purvis Ellison and LaBradford Smith and all those guys, and then certainly Kentucky basketball with Joe B. Hall and Eddie Sutton when I was growing up, and Kenny Skywalker and Mel Turpin, and always followed Kentucky football. Great quarterbacks of the past. Some of y'all are too young to remember these names, but guys like Pookie Jones and Billy Jack Haskins that played quarterback at Kentucky. Both those guys were from Murray, Kentucky, or went to high school in the Murray, Kentucky area that kind of grew up around, and which is where I was from. So always have followed them and always enjoy going back up to Kentucky, and it'll be a great atmosphere on Saturday up in Lexington. Got a big challenge on our hands. Obviously, you watch them on offense. We know they have weapons at receiver, big veteran offensive line, talented quarterback, and Brock Vandegrift, who I'm very familiar with from trying to recruit him when we were at Oklahoma. and new offensive coordinator, but they're operating at a high level offensively, defensively, veteran defense, 10 returning starters. I think 10 of the returning starters are either juniors or seniors, so it's guys that we've been playing against here for a while that have a lot of experience in them. It's essentially the same defense as last year. They've just traded out a linebacker that's with the Panthers now and brought in a linebacker that just happened to start at Georgia last season as well. So they're really, really good on defense and led by arguably the best defensive tackle in the entire conference in Walker, number 0. So really talented defense. And then special teams wise, Brown, the receiver, has returned 4 kicks for touchdowns in his career. He is elite as a kickoff returner, and we've got to do a great job being able to cover kicks. So big challenge, but our guys are really, really excited about going up there and playing on Saturday, competing, starting out SEC play. Looking forward to seeing a ton of Garnet and Black in that stadium on Saturday afternoon. I know this is a trip that our fans always enjoy going on, and I know a lot of people that are going up there, and we got to have a good week of practice and put on a good performance for them on Saturday, but looking forward to seeing a lot of Gamecocks up there as well. So questions?
Shane, the guys were in here talking about some of the offense and about execution, communication, that kind of thing. As you look back on it and talk with the coaches, was there any schematic change that maybe needed to be had or discussed?
Not really. Old Dominion, and let's give Old Dominion some credit. The way they play defense makes it tough to do a lot of things. And just the structure of their defense, they take away a lot. And this isn't they're Old Dominion, you should be able to do this. No, they take away a lot with what they do schematically. So it was going to be a challenge. I said that on the radio show last week. I said that leading up to it, that the way they play defense is different and is a challenge. And we didn't do a good enough job of executing. Surely, David, after every game, you look back and they're saying schematically that you would tweak and do differently. But, for the most part, we got to coach better. We got to, execute better. But, you don't have 35 minutes time of possession and a 16-play drive, a 13-play drive, a 10-play drive, and stink. So we did some good things. Was it good enough on Saturday? Absolutely not. Nobody is saying that, but we also did some good things. And if we got to be able to finish drives in the red zone and not kick field goals, and if we score touchdowns down there and not kick field goals, I think everybody's feeling a lot different about things too.
Lenore was in here talking about how he felt like he played timid at times, what he saw when he was watching himself. What's been sort of the message to him from D'Lo and you and whoever else that to kind of get past that and improve upon that?
Relax, have fun. He's our guy. He's a hell of a quarterback. There's a lot of pressure on that guy. Or going into Saturday, he's, from the state, local kid, starting his first game as a Gamecock in a Gamecock uniform, and the expectations, rightfully so. I mean, he's a really good quarterback. He had high expectations, and I told him on Friday that he didn't need to go out there and be Superman. Just go out there and relax, and we're better around him, and I believe that. I told him we're better around him on offense than we were than what Spencer had around him last year. Now, we don't have Xavier Legette, a first-round pick, but if you just look at our depth at all the positions and the offensive line, I feel like we're better overall as an offense just from a depth standpoint than what we were last year. So I told Lenore, lean on those guys. You don't have to do anything by yourself, and I don't feel like he tried to do too much. I think it's just, the expectations. Game one, you're in that stadium, you want to play great, and he did a lot of really good things. He made some nice throws. The deep ball that unfortunately we weren't able to connect on. There's not many guys in the world that can make that throw. And he showed his ability to run. So he did some good stuff. I've said it all along, Hale will be a team that offensively continues to get better each and every week. I mean, we started 8 new guys on the offense Saturday that it was their first game in a Gamecock uniform, if I'm not mistaken, including 2 true freshmen. And that's not an excuse. There's a lot of teams across the country that are starting and playing new players, but there's a lot of new faces around Lenore's, and we're going to continue to get better throughout the season. And Lenore's is right at the top of that list, and he just needs to know that he doesn't need to try and do too much. Just go out there and have fun and play. Work hard and prepare the right way during the week, and then game days should be the fun part for him.
After the game Saturday, you were talking a lot about the perimeter blocking. How much of that, when you went back on film, was effort, and how much of that was scheme?
A mix. I would say there were some schematic things that we didn't quite execute like we needed to, just as far as, going in there and digging out defensive backs in the box that receivers have to. There were some times that we, the look kind of got cloudy and we didn't quite end up on the right person. That was a part of it. There were also times where we didn't go in there with quite the intent or the strain that we needed to. A lot of times that we did. I know you guys break down the play of every game, and I'm sure you guys have pointed out Mazeo Bennett's effort in perimeter blocking. If you haven't, you need to go back and watch it closely. He competed his rear end off in the perimeter blocking game and being willing to come down into the box and take on people in the box. We need more of that. I think a lot of times we were in the right place. We didn't just execute with the best technique or the intent to get things done that it took on that one, and it was a difference in maybe explosive runs and not. So combination of both, and something that we spent a lot of time on. We always have a drill on Tuesdays in practice where we work perimeter blocking, and today was no different, and we'll continue to get better at it.
Debo is such a big veteran for you guys. How big is he as a voice for you guys in the locker room, especially with the younger guys, especially as you go into an SEC matchup in week 2?
Yeah, he's huge. Not just Debo, but so many leaders that we have. And I've said it before, there's so many when we vote on captains at the end of the season. So many of the top vote getters from last season are still here. They're leaders. Tonka, Boogie, Luke Doty, Vershawn. There's a lot of guys. TJ. We got a lot of older guys that are leaders on this team. But Debo is right there at the top. He was a voice last year on our team and brought great leadership to the team and to the defense in particular. And then this year is no different. He's been that way since January, and he's somebody that he does a great job of that. Whether I talked to him on the phone last night about some stuff that needed to get handled, and he gets it done. So he's been awesome.
You alluded to Kentucky's defensive line. They got some big dudes. They wreak a lot of havoc. But what have you seen from your offensive line, maybe going back and through the film from the game Saturday, that can make you feel really good about their ability to keep them from wreaking the havoc they do to so many other teams?
We played really, really hard on the offensive line. I can't remember if I said this last night or Sunday night on the teleconference before it got cut off, but go back and watch Case and Henry on the 4th and 1 that we handed the ball off to Rocket. You want to see the mentality that we want to play with on the offensive line, watch Case and Henry on that play. So our offensive line played really, really hard. Josiah Thompson started at left tackle as a true freshman. I'm sure you guys can appreciate how hard that is to do in the SEC. It's 2 years in a row we've now done that. But he didn't look lost as a freshman. He played really, really hard. There's one, blitz pickup issue that we'd like to have back, or I'm sure he'd like to have back, but he didn't look lost as a freshman. Having Vershawn out there as the older guy, kind of to settle everybody down, I thought he was great. He was one of our players of the game as a staff after we looked at it, and just yes, we had some protection issues that we certainly got to get cleaned up. That comes back to us as coaches, but I'm excited about our offensive line as they continue to develop and guys continue to gain experience. And you're exactly right. This number 0, he can absolutely wreck your entire game plan. Not like mess up a play. He can wreck your entire game plan. And he is a load to handle, but it's not just him. 13 on the outside is a really good player, and nobody talks about the other guys they have inside, 90 and 8 and 9. They're very twitchy and athletic and very disruptive inside. So we've got to do a great job on the offensive line this week for us to be able to do the things that we want to do offensively.
Shane, how do you feel like the connection between Lenoris and the receivers were on Saturday, and what do you chalk up to on some of maybe the high throws Lenoris had, or guys just not being in the right spots to haul on a catch?
Yeah, I thought we just looked off and we weren't clicking on all cylinders. I'd be lying if I sat up here and said we were. The ball over there to Nick on their sideline was just a high throw. I think that's just probably more mechanics by Lenoris that will get cleaned up without a doubt. But for the most part, I thought he threw the ball well. Certainly there were some, misreads and some plays that he would like to have back, just like calls Dow would like to have back and plays that our other guys would as well. So we need to be better. There's no question about it. I don't like it. I hate to say it, but it's true. We're continuing to gel as a receiving core with the quarterback. 3 of those guys, Dre, Camp, and Nick, didn't go through spring practice, as I said, and we're trying to do it as fast as we can, and we should have been better than what we were on Saturday night or Saturday afternoon. There's no question about it, but we're, told the team today we're 88 days from the Clemson game, so we ain't got a lot of time to sit around and wait for this thing to gel. Like, we got to gel right now, and we can't just sit around and just wait for it to happen. We got to make it happen, because each day we're getting closer to the end of the regular season, and we've got to come together pretty quickly here.
Hey, Coach, a lot of players came in and said that communication is the biggest thing that they want to improve upon headed into week 2. What do you chalk that up to? Is it week 1 jitters, new season, or anything you can really point your finger at?
Yeah, I appreciate them saying that. I don't quite know if it's necessarily communication. The one that I would say would be a communication issue is maybe the deep pass that we gave up to Old Dominion early in the game. That was just a little bit of a malfunction with the coach to player helmet communication, that everything didn't quite get conveyed like it needed to get conveyed. Having said that, we can't allow somebody to run past us even if there is a breakdown in the communication. But the rest of the stuff, I appreciate them saying that, and certainly we need to communicate better, but overall I thought it was good. The quarterback run, that wasn't a communication issue, that was just not being in our gap aspect. And then some of the mishaps we had on offense, I don't know if it was necessarily a communication issue. Is it just not quite executing, which starts with us as coaches. So we'll be better. It's not going to be any easier. We communicated. We were at home where it's easier to communicate. We're going to be on the road in front of 60,000+ on Saturday on national television, where it's going to be harder to communicate. But I didn't have a lot of issues with the communication aspect of it. But certainly I think as you play more and guys get more and more confident, the best teams I've been around are the ones that communicate and talk the most, offense, defense, and special teams. And we need to do that without a doubt.
You brought it up, and a couple other players we had in here today too, about the red zone struggles. Is there anything specific you put your finger on with not finishing drives, or just go back to everything else with the offense that needs to be better?
No, but it's concerning because it's 2 years in a row I've come in here after the first game talking about red zone issues in the first game. If you remember, I'm sure you guys remember the North Carolina game last year. We had 3 possessions inside the 22-yard line, I think, or 25-yard line that we didn't score touchdowns on or whatnot, and there was a factor in that North Carolina game. And then certainly the other day we didn't do a good enough job in the red zone. It's everything. It's calls, it's execution, quarterback, receiver, running back, tight end, offensive line, coaches, where we all just need to be better. It wasn't anything where we just said, oh my God, this is just an absolute breakdown. It's hard down there in the red zone, and we've got to be better about getting the ball in the end zone than what we were on Saturday.
Following up on what you said about the helmet communication issue on the touchdown, are there any other specifics or details you can share about that? And were there any other instances where that was a problem?
No, I don't think so. I think the biggest issue is, when it cuts off at 15 seconds, and I believe I'm correct in saying this, it comes back on manually. It's not like just an automatic button where as soon as the guy gets tackled, it automatically just turns back on. I believe there's like an actual human being that turns it on and off. If I'm wrong on that, I apologize, but from the way it's been explained to me. So when you're playing teams that go really, really, really fast, we need the guy that turns the helmet communication back on to turn it back on really, really, really fast, and not like waiting for the referee to wind the 40-second clock or whatnot either, or referee to give him a signal. We got to go, so no excuse. We got to be able to get signals in, calls in, and execute. We just had a little bit of a delay being able to communicate on that particular play. And that's not, I'm not blaming the helmet communication because we gave up a deep ball, but we've got to overcome that. But we also need to make sure that we're able to talk to our players as soon as the play's over, because the offense is rolling.
I hate to belabor the point, but is it like the same person? Are they in the stadium? Are they doing it for both teams? Like, how does
They're in the stadium.
Yeah.
They're in the stadium. I know we have a guy on our sideline. I guess they have one. I don't really know him. I know how ours operates. I'm not sure the whole system, but it's something that we've addressed that we've, I don't think will be an issue going forward. And again, there was one play where it was a little slow getting in and not an issue. It wasn't an issue after that. Game one jitters, game one kinks we got to work out for sure. But again, having said that, I mean, I'm not saying that's why we gave up that play. We've got to be able to. We've coached forever where we don't have helmet communication. We got to be able to get the signal in, and everybody's got to be able to make the call. And then if you don't know if you're not sure, then don't let somebody run past you. Somebody get deep as well. But it wasn't an issue after that. We've addressed it. I think we got all the issues worked out. And to answer your other question, no, there really wasn't. I thought other than that, it was very smooth offense and defense as far as the communication to the player on the field went Saturday.
What was your favorite Kyle Kennard play from Saturday?
Favorite Kyle Kennard play? Well, see, man, when you're player of the week and you have that many, I don't know if I have one, to be honest with you. All of them. And I'm not trying to dodge the question. All of them. When you have that many pressures and hits, there were a lot of good ones. I appreciate the way that he plays, and I'm pleased with that whole edge room. Kyle, Dylan, JT, Gil, Dez, get BT back healthy. That's a good group, and like the way that we can keep throwing people at teams.
Shane, tomorrow I think you got to do your first injury report, and then I guess you have to do it
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
So how long do you anticipate that taking week to week? I mean, is it kind of you had to rearrange your schedule? Is it a pain, a pleasure, what?
I wouldn't say it's a pleasure, for sure. Did not have to rearrange the schedule. I think between, we meet as a staff every day at 4:00. In the afternoons, and or Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays we do. And in that, we always meet with Clint and talk about all the injury situation as well. So between Clint Haggard, George Wynn, myself, I don't think it'll be much on my plate. I would imagine a lot of head coaches aren't even going to mess with it. They're just going to give it to the trainer, and the trainer's going to say, does this look good? And the head coach is going to look at it for 5 seconds and say, yeah, it's fine. And so it's not a big deal. It is what it is, and I don't think it'll be too time-consuming from my standpoint.
When you're watching the film back on Dylan Stewart, what do you feel like allowed him to be so explosive and get into the backfield consistently?
Obviously, God bless that young man with a lot of ability, so that's the first thing. 2, Sterling Lucas has done a great job, coaching him up, and just being able to bring a lot of different pass rush moves, whatever you want to call it, his physicality, his speed, like I said, his God-given ability that helps him, and then Sterling's coaching that allowed him to do that. But then you got to give credit to the other 10 players out there as well for both those guys. Some of those pressure sacks or D-line games or D-line pressures where there's other people involved and somebody's doing their job and Dylan's the one that happens to come free, or Kyle happens to come free. That's what was about to happen on the long quarterback run. We just didn't quite execute it like we needed to. So DBs and linebackers covering to make that quarterback hold on to the ball and not be able to get rid of the ball quick. And, it's a great credit to our defense as a whole unit.
Shane, I'm sure a couple weeks ago you read about your coaching pal in the upstate now taking text questions from fans instead of getting into it. You still talk to the fans when they call, and is that something you like doing? Do you ever worry about a Tyler from Chapin calling in or something like that?
No, I do. We were 2-6 at one point last year, Pete. So yeah, you get a little worried about calls when you're 2-6. But we've got great fans. And I enjoy that aspect of it. I do. I don't mind asking the questions. They have the right to call in. And if they think I'm doing a crappy job, they got every right to call in and question what we're doing and tell me I'm doing a crappy job. I understand why Dabo did it and not, disagreeing with it. I don't mind, that aspect of it. We take questions from the studio audience as you guys that have been there to that show know, and people that are there in the crowd, and then people that are willing to call in as well. So I always look forward to hearing from Hampton from Ohio, who typically calls in every week, and whoever else that calls in. I enjoy it, and part of one of the things that makes college football great. For now, we're 1-0. If I may change my tune as we go.
Were you surprised at all, based on what you thought going into the game, that the passing game wasn't clicking on all cylinders like you thought it would? And how much did the 6 defensive back look actually affect the passing game in its connection versus the run game?
Surprise, maybe. I mean, did I think that we would throw the ball better on Saturday or more efficiently than what we did? Sure. I mean, I did, but I knew it was going to be a challenge also. And, quarterback starting his first game and a lot of new people around him, I didn't expect us to go out and throw for 400 yards against that style of defense. And we really wanted to run the football, and that's why we ran it 50 sometimes or whatever it was on Saturday. So we need to be better, because I thought we would be better on Saturday and have every confidence in the world that we will be going forward. But at the same time, I know the challenges that style of defense presents, just because, they take away your easy access throws. So it's easy for people to say, well, just throw hitches and throw slants. Well, they take away a lot of that with the way that they play defense. And it's very much a 3-3-3-1 type look, whatever you want to talk about it. And there's a lot of guys back there, and they all fit the run from different places, and then they all can drop into coverage from different places. And certainly there's some things schematically we could have done better to help, for sure. We connect on some of those throws. We're probably not in here on Tuesday talking about the passing game, but I know firsthand. I mean, when I was at I talked to Lincoln last night. When I was at Oklahoma and we were playing in that league, that was like the in vogue defense, because Iowa State ran it. And Iowa State came down there the year that Oklahoma had Baker Mayfield the year before I got there, 2017, I believe is what it was. And Iowa State came down there, like that's the style of defense they ran, and it kind of became the in vogue defense in the league. And then Baylor started running it the year that Baylor played for the Big 12 championship against us, and Iowa State continued to, and then Texas started dabbling in it. And I know from coaching tight ends at Oklahoma and working with Lincoln, it presented challenges. And if you go back and look at a lot of those games, and we lost to Iowa State when I was at Oklahoma, and Baylor, I think, had us down one year 28-3 on a Saturday night, and we came back and won and beat them later in the year in the Big 12 championship, if I'm not mistaken. So it presents challenges, and we weren't the only team that has struggled with that. There's no question about it. Having said that, do we need to be better? Absolutely. Our players know that. Our coaches understand that. No one's happy in this building with the offensive performance at all, and we can be better on defense. We busted 2 things and gave up about 120 yards of defense on 2 plays. Special teams was sloppy in some ways, did some good, but we all need to be better, and there's no question about it, starting with me. Phil?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. After watching King at Georgia Tech a couple of games and Castellanos last night, and then seeing Sellers run the ball so much Saturday, in theory, what kind of threats does a quarterback like that cause for or create for a defense as they're preparing for you, knowing you've got a quarterback who can take off and run it 20 some odd times?
Yeah, just that. It's another threat. Normally if you're coaching defense, you're worried about, the running back, and you're not so much worried about the quarterback. You don't have to account for that guy. There's games defensively where we've gone into a game saying, if they run zone read and the quarterback pulls it, great. We're not worried about the quarterback. Like, make him pull it, and we'll let the quarterback go run. I don't think teams can necessarily say that about us, and it presents problems. Do we want to run Lenoir 20-plus times every game like we did the other night? No. But the fact that you can do some different things formationally and get people out of the box but still have the ability with a 240-pound running back to run the ball downhill presents problems for defenses and all those guys. I got home last night and got in time to see, I think, the fourth quarter of the Florida State game, and that quarterback for Boston College is a little bit of a different type player than Lenoris as far as size goes, but he can do a lot with his feet and can certainly throw it as well. And that's what excites me, Phil, about this offense. Just as we continue to get this passing game going and Lenoris gets more and more comfortable, we can do a lot, and present problems to teams because of the ability to run and throw.
Hey, Coach, had a question about Nick Harbor. He had some targets, but no catches. Is that someone you'd like to scheme open looks for, or just kind of keep running the route tree and trust that Lenoris will find him?
No, we want to scheme stuff for him. We got a lot of guys that we need to get touches, if you will, and try and find ways to get the ball in their hands, whether it be the running back position or tight end, receiver. But Nick, there's no question about it. He's a guy that presents a lot of problems to defenses, even if it's just the threat of him running past people and catching deep balls. We've got to continue to, and we've certainly have in the past, and will continue to also.
You've talked a lot about like growth and especially with the wide receivers and Lenoris, but I'm curious, like from a general perspective, how you walk that line, which I imagine is sort of tricky between being like, okay, this has to happen fast, but also, okay, this can't happen overnight in terms of chemistry, gelling, things of that nature.
Yeah, I think you just continue to work, and that's the thing that I told our players this morning, and I read this one time, or somebody said it, but be willing to do the unrequired. If we just think that as a team we're just going to be able to come in and come to meetings each day, then go out on the practice field for a couple hours each day, and then take off at 12 noon and we'll see you tomorrow, and you don't think about football and you don't put in extra time to think that it's just going to happen, it probably isn't. Be willing to do the unrequired, meaning the extra work and whatnot. And that's the thing. It's just you can't force feed it, but to me, you just keep your head down and you just continue to work and maximize every rep in practice and being able to do extra stuff, which I thought it was great. I mean, Monday is the player's off day, and I was walking through here yesterday morning, and you've got, a couple, Luke Doty and Robbie Ashford are in there watching tape together, and the DBs are always in here on their own, or you see people down there getting extra stuff done in the training room or weight room, or one of our backup long snappers goes in the indoor on Mondays just on his own to just practice his snapping as well. Just stuff like that we've got a lot of, don't get me wrong, and we just need to continue to do that, stay the course, and it'll come. It's a long way to game 12, but it's not, and then it's 88 days away. So every day, that's probably the biggest thing, just every day, every rep in practice matters, every meeting matters, and the more and more comfortable and whatnot we can get, the better we'll be clicking here really soon. Hopefully Saturday. Thank y'all. Sorry for the delay.
There is Shane Beamer, weekly presser.
Delayed by a
from
couple
Shane.
minutes.
I thought a couple things were interesting. Tyler, I thought that when he was asked a question about scheming Nick Harbor open, for an example, because, again, Nick Harbor's a guy, he's got a ton of speed and physical ability and all the high ceiling and potential and all those things. But, again, a dude never played wide receiver till last year.
Right.
So the route tree, probably the entire route tree is not his friend at this point. There's probably some branches he can crawl out on, but probably can't do the whole tree.
Sure.
So what do you do? Okay, well, how do we scheme him open? Okay, what can he do right now? How can we incorporate that and how we can scheme him open? Because that's one thing. If you got receivers who can't get open on their own, you got to scheme them open. You got to find ways within, whether it's you're flooding zones, you're running a bunch of crossers against man, so defenders run into each other like it's a bad Three Stooges, or you're doing things like in bunch formations and confusing defenses, making them, always like to say, make defenses make poor decisions. What are you doing from a schematic standpoint to get receivers open? Are you? Again, if there's zone defense, you run three guys into a zone area where defender can only cover one. And how does that affect the rest of the defense? What are the other guys doing? Because someone's going to be open.
Sure.
If you have time.
Sure.
So what kind of stuff are you doing and to get Nick Harbor open in the future? Because if you can get that cat open, he catches a football and he's got some green grass. We saw him run down the DB on the fumble, right?
Yep.
Nick can motor, rumor has it.
Sure.
So that was an interesting question. What are the plans on trying to scheme him open if he can't, just naturally get open with route running ability at this point? So that was a pretty interesting question. To Shane, what hit you? Anything?
Reviewing my notes here, things that were asked about. The mentality of the offensive line, again, wasn't the best performance on Saturday against a lower tier type of defense in Old Dominion. What kind of progress can you make this week to prepare you for what is a much better defensive unit in Kentucky this upcoming weekend?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he gave a clear answer on that necessarily. It's just something we're going to have to cross our fingers with and hope looks better on Saturday.
Yeah, didn't that where he talked about their want to? They played with great effort and things of that nature.
Hey, that sounds great.
Yeah, and I almost feel like, not to say that that's dodging the question, but I think his mind is they're playing with great effort. The rest of it will follow it, right?
Sure.
Then I almost think, well, did they not play with great effort last year? Whenever you hear that, you go, okay, was that lacking last year? I don't know. But, you just had a bunch of guys last year who were playing that shouldn't have been playing at that point.
Mm-hmm.
They're playing with great effort. Yeah, that's wonderful.
I hope everybody's playing with great effort. But as far as winning on the field,
right? What are we doing here? Right, that needs to follow with not also great effort, but great execution, great performance, and things of that nature. So yeah, it's an interesting answer. And I'm guessing the first thing in his head was like, hey, they're giving the effort, and we'll get the rest of it right, but they're giving the effort. But you're right to the answer of the question that you're thinking about. That's not the answer, right?
And as a coach, I guess it can be hard to specifically lay out like, okay, here's exactly what we're doing and here's what we expect the results to be necessarily. Because again, you've been doing the same things in practice and in scrimmages and stuff for weeks on end.
Mm-hmm.
And what you saw in the scrimmage probably gave you a good idea of what you hoped that offensive line was going to be. Then you go out there in the game and it's different. Because again, you're going up against a new team, you're going up against a different type of scheme and all those kind of things that maybe caught you by surprise a little bit, or maybe showed you something you didn't know about your offensive line that now in this week between playing them and playing Kentucky, you have to adjust and figure out, okay, here's how we got to fix these areas that were a problem.
Well, isn't that kind of the thing in this week? Okay, now you've seen your first game with your defense, which except for 2 plays, your thumbs up. Your offense obviously needs work. So you watch what Linares did. How much of it is, okay, now that we've seen him quarterback a week, and here's what we know about Kentucky's defense. How do we tweak and adjust for Linares Sellers? Do we give him some easy throws this week? Some hitches, some bubbles, some little quick slants, something to get him completing passes early to make him feel good and feel confident moving forward, something they didn't do in week 1.
Right.
Do you use play action? If you're going to run the ball this much, look, here's the thing about play action. It's interesting. I saw a couple studies on play action because I have no life. You always hear this. Well, can't run play action if you're not running the ball well. That's not really true. Because even if you are a good running team or a bad running team, the minute you fake a handoff to a running back, what do linebackers and safeties do?
They're going to commit to the run.
They take a step forward, at least one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times all you need is that step forward to get a dude open.
Yep.
So whether you're running it well or not does not matter. The fact that you run play action helps you. And you know what the most effective, efficient passing thing is in football? Play action. It's the most successful play in the passing game. And it doesn't matter if you're running it well or not. It doesn't matter if you really like running it at all. The minute you turn and fake, if you do a nice, decent fake handoff, you're getting a safety and a linebacker taking at least one step forward, which should only help you in the passing game.
Sure.
So they use play action 26% on Saturday. Now, do they want to use it more now? Do they think, well, we ran it so much, maybe we can use it and we can hit some stuff? by, again, because Old Dominion, we talked about it yesterday, in the middle of that second series, once South Carolina got in Monarch territory, Old Dominion started creeping up. And is that where you maybe run some play action and hit something to make somebody pay? It's very interesting what the tweaks and the adjustments will be from week 1 to week 2. Now that you've seen, especially your offense, where do you go from there? Do you think, okay, it's just week 1, we're going to be fine, we're going to tweak here or there, or are you going to start scheming some guys open more? Or are you going to say, okay, maybe we need to put Jared Brown in the slot a little bit. Or maybe we need to maybe move Mavesio Bennett out. Maybe we need to do this or that. So it'll be fun to watch how the adjustments go after week 1 against Old Dominion, playing obviously a Kentucky team. It's very good on D with a head coach who has got an excellent defensive mind.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be, we'll see where it goes. All right, we'll pop back in here. Elijah Campbell, who was at the presser, we heard him ask at least one question.
Yep.
Elijah will be in here in the 2 o'clock hour to give us his thoughts on Shane's weekly presser. We'll get back in here. Firehouse sub, text the hour at 803-404-6100. Football in the 1 o'clock hour, sponsored by Atlantic Windows and Doors. And don't forget, we get rolling for Kentucky Saturday, 10:30 from O'Hara's in Lexington. God, I love O'Hara's food. So good. O'Hara's in Lexington. We will be there Saturday. Gamecocks game day. Tyler and myself, 10:30. We get rolling. The network pregame at 12:30. Kickoff 3:30. South Carolina and Kentucky. You can hear it obviously right here on 107.5 The Game in Columbia, 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. We'll come back. Firehouse sub, text the hour next on the halftime show on The Game.
From the Midlands to the PD to the beach.
The Game Network.
It's back! The Lawyer Lisa Special Teams Contest. Just go to 1075thegame.com and register. The pot starts at $100. Every week it increases $100 if Carolina doesn't score a special teams touchdown. But if the Gamecocks do score a special teams touchdown, you could win the pool. Again, just go to 1075thegame.com and register. It's the Lawyer Lisa Special Teams Contest from 1075 The Game.
This is Andrew Bogish with a Sports Minute, sending good thoughts to Chiefs running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who will start the season on the non-football illness list after speaking recently about his battle with PTSD. Edwards-Helaire says his health issues stem from a December 2018 incident, but won't give details. We believe he was the victim of a violent robbery then. Let's hope he can soon live a normal life and get back on the field. I'm Andrew Bogish.
Save on O'Reilly Brake Parts Cleaner. Get 2 cans of O'Reilly Brake Parts Cleaner for just $8. Valid in-store only at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Our Labor Day savings start now at Lowe's. Right now, buy one, get one free on Valspar Reserve or HGTV Home by Sherwin-Williams Infinity or Showcase Interior Paint via Lowe's gift card rebate. Whether you're painting one accent wall or want to freshen up a whole room, we've got you covered. Because Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows home improvement. More terms and restrictions apply. See Lowe's.com/rebates for details. Valid through 9/4.
Is your vehicle stopping like it should? Does it squeal or grind when you brake? Don't miss out on summer brake deals at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Do you like trivia? Do you like pizza? You're going to love Thursday night at the Mellow Mushroom Pizza Bakers. That's right. Mellow in the Vista and on Sunset in Lexington have live hosted team trivia every Thursday night starting at 7. Trivia buffs of all ages can compete for Mellow cash and swag in our fun and funky digs while enjoying specials on amazing pizzas, apps, sandwiches, salads, and over 100 beers from around the world. You've still got your long-term memory. Use it at the Mellow Mushroom every Thursday in the Vista and on Sunset in Lexington.
Thanksgiving and Christmas, they're on the way and bringing friends and family with them. I'm Eddie Springer of Treycal Builders, and right now is the time to update, upgrade, and remodel for all the gatherings ahead. Whether it's your kitchen, bedroom, bathroom, or whole house that needs remodeling, with Treycal, it's easy. We do first-class work quickly, cleanly, and affordably. Call 360-8211, 360-8211, or visit TRECALbuilders.com. Treycal Builders, quality from start to finish.
Football season is grilling season, and Jack Oliver's Pool Spa and Patio is South Carolina's premier source for the Big Three. Weber, Traeger, and Big Green Egg Grills. I'm Jack Oliver. Grill all your tailgate favorites to perfection with a premium gas, charcoal, or pellet grill, then top it all off with something sizzling from your griddle. For grills, griddles, patio furniture, hot tubs, and saunas, shop in store or online at Jack Oliver's Pool Spa and Patio, Forest Drive in Columbia, and JackOliverPools.com.
At Midlands Orthopedics and Neurosurgery, we realize that unexpected orthopedic injuries require easy access to specialty care. That's why we now offer the HURT mobile app to give you live expert advice 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for free. With the HURT app, you're never alone with your injury, and a team of experts is just a tap away. Download the free HURT, that's H-U-R-T, mobile app from Midlands Orthopedics and Neurosurgery today.
Hunting season is here, and that means it's ATV season at Carolina Honda Powerhouse. Honda Recons, Rangers, Foremans, and Rubicons are in stock and ready to ride. Two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, manual, automatic, and all new colors. We've got them, and you can shop them all right on our showroom floor. Don't forget to ask about current finance and service specials. Visit Carolina Honda Powerhouse in Columbia. Just take exit 70 off I-20 and turn by the Flying J, or visit CarolinaHonda.com. Honda recommends utility ATVs for riders 16 years and older and recommends that all riders take a training course.
At Midlands Orthopedics and Neurosurgery, we realize that unexpected orthopedic injuries require easy access to specialty care. That's why we now offer the HURT mobile app to give you live expert advice 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for free. With the HURT app, you're never alone with your injury, and a team of experts is just a tap away. Download the free HURT, that's H-U-R-T, mobile app from Midlands Orthopedics and Neurosurgery today.
Football season is grilling season, and Jack Oliver's Pool Spa and Patio is South Carolina's premier source for the Big Three: Weber, Traeger, and Big Green Egg Grills. I'm Jack Oliver. Grill all your tailgate favorites to perfection with a premium gas, charcoal, or pellet grill, then top it all off with something sizzling from your griddle. For grills, griddles, patio furniture, hot tubs, and saunas, shop in store or online at Jack Oliver's Pool Spa and Patio, Forest Drive in Columbia, and JackOliverPools.com. Football season is grilling season, and Jack Oliver's Pool Spa and Patio is South Carolina's premier source for the Big Three: Weber, Traeger, and Big Green Egg Grills. I'm Jack Oliver. Grill all your tailgate favorites to perfection with a premium gas, charcoal, or pellet grill, then top it all off with something sizzling from your griddle. For grills, griddles, patio furniture, hot tubs, and saunas, shop in store or online at Jack Oliver's Pool Spa and Patio, Forest Drive in Columbia, and JackOliverPools.com.
The Halftime Show, sponsored by the Men's Clinic of South Carolina.
It's time for Text of the Hour on the Firehouse Subs text line on the Halftime Show.
On your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia, 107.5 The Game.
Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach.
And 100.5 The Game in Florence. And the 107.5 The Game app.
All right, interesting to be quite transparent. Text line's down. So we'll get back to some Firehouse Sub text the hour. We can do real quick. We can take a look at our Twitter X poll that we had from yesterday. And let's see here. Twitter poll question of the day. Which individual player's performance from Saturday makes you feel the most optimistic about the rest of the season? It was Rocket Sanders, Kyle Kennard, Dylan Stewart. Rocket Sanders, 16%. Kyle Kennard, 27%. Dylan Stewart, 57%. And we had a bunch of different answers. One was none of them, because even Rocket Sanders can save this offense. I vote for Rocket, even though all three had a great game and they're valuable. We needed a true running back badly, and he is legit. Kennard was expected, I think, but Stewart being a game changer on day one is huge. D is going to have to be disruptive, create turnovers. Having both off the edge on third and medium and long will create that. Dude will likely break Clowney's freshman record if he stays healthy. A lot of love, obviously, for Dylan Stewart. We appreciate you if you had jumped in on our little Twitter X poll that we put up yesterday. All right. Rough three days for Billy Napier.
say the least.
Sunbelt Billy at Florida, the soon-to-be ex-coach of the Gators. I think he's a good head coach. I just think he's the wrong head coach for Florida. Again, I could see Billy Napier like going to a Duke and having a nice, solid career, take Duke to bowl games. I could see him kick to a place like Indiana.
Well, and
be a solid coach.
Those are two places where the media is not going to be down your throat at every turn, which Florida, the expectations are pretty high.
Yeah. And I just think, like I said, I say this over and over and over again. I think you need a guy who you have to widen the doors for their ego to coach at Florida. And that's not a negative in this case. You got to have a guy like Urban Meyer or Steve Spurrier, the two guys who have been the most successful there over the last, 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have a guy that has no problem looking at the meddlers and the hangers-on and say, get the bleep out of my kitchen. You just have to have a guy that does that. And his ego and his confidence and his ability all come together, and he's going to win and control that mob of lunatics.
Mm-hmm.
I think Billy Napier's a good football coach. He's just not built. I don't think his personality is built for that.
Right.
To deal with it. And so he'll pop off to Purdue or wherever at some point and go have a nice, solid coaching career. He'll go to some bowl games, and you'll see that he is a good football. Look what he did at Louisiana was really good. This guy, look at his one-loss record. Hell of a coach. Guy, he's coached for some heavyweights in the coaching world. The guy didn't forget how to coach. It's just some guys are a poor fit in some places. I think Sunbelt Billy's a poor fit in Gainesville. I think a lot of guys are a poor fit in Gainesville. So Billy, first of all, gets road graded by Miami at home. What was that, 34 straight home openers they lost?
Yep.
They had won in Gainesville until Saturday. 2, couldn't get his water bottle open at the press conference. And then 3, decided he's had enough and decided to now take a shot at a portion of the fan base. Here's Billy Napier in front of a microphone talking some stuff.
You got to go to work on the football part, and I think we got to become a more consistent team, and we have to execute better. And if we can focus on those things and not necessarily what some guy in his basement saying in rural Central Florida on social media, then we got a chance to get better, right? So.
Well, here's my question. Is the guy critiquing you from his basement, is he wrong? You're 11-15, entering your, third year as a coach there.
Yeah.
Your criticism's not unjustified.
No, here's the other thing, too. Is your team paying attention to the guy in the basement in Florida? Are you paying attention to the guy in the basement in Florida? Why'd you bring him up?
Clearly. Which, by the way, that's a supporter of your program.
And right now you need all the supporters you can get, and now you've alienated every guy sitting in his basement in rural Florida.
There's no basements in Florida. They flood.
Good point. I've never lived in Florida. One of the few places I haven't lived. But yeah, it's just the idea that, first of all, it's part of the gig, man.
Yeah.
Criticism is part of the job when you're below 500 in a pressure cooker like Gainesville. Do you think Billy just doesn't care now? You think Billy's just like, I'm getting fired. I don't care anymore. I'm just like,
maybe.
I just don't care. All right, so we will continue Billy Napier talk and what's trending at 2 and get some more into what Shane's presser, which happened just a little while ago here on the halftime show on The Game.
107.5 The Game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios.
Take up to $20,000 off new Silverados.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
She's kind of a big deal. Some people like to say it's only because of how she looks. She sticks her tongue out a lot. But there's just something about her that makes people do crazy things, like get tattoos of her face or wait in line for hours just to say hi. Lil Bub is a 2-year-old cat, an Instagram celebrity with a following bigger than some 90s television stars. And it all started because she was adopted. You can't buy a best friend like Lil Bub, but you can adopt one. Help us save them all at bestfriends.org.
Prostate cancer screening is a simple blood test. It's a simple blood test. Get it done. Men, it's your life. It's a simple blood test. Get it done. That's why it's so important to talk to your doctor about getting tested. If you want info on how to take action, the Prostate Cancer Foundation is here to help. Go to pcf.org to learn more about prostate cancer and how you can advocate for yourself. Remember, it's your life, and it's a simple blood test. Get it done.
And we're live here outside the Perez family home, just waiting for and there they go. Almost on time this morning. Mom is coming out the front door strong with a double-arm kid carry. Looks like Dad has the bags. Daughter is bringing up the rear. Oh, but the diaper bag wasn't closed. Diapers and toys are everywhere. Ooh, but Mom has just nailed the perfect car seat buckle for the toddler. And now the eldest daughter, who looks to be about 9 or 10, has secured herself in the booster seat. Dad zips the bag closed, and they're off. But looks like Mom doesn't realize her coffee cup is still on the roof of the car. And there it goes. Oh, that's a shame. That mug was a fam favorite.
Don't sweat the small stuff. Just nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are buckled correctly in the right seat for their age and size. Learn more at nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Visit nhtsa.gov/the
right seat. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Kathy Bates. People sometimes ask what I've learned in my 2-time battle with cancer. 1 is that with the right treatment, you can beat it. 2 is that it's not just cancer you're battling. You also need to anticipate LE, lymphedema, a disease that can leave those who undergo cancer treatment with a lifetime of swelling and pain. If you're facing a cancer diagnosis, discuss lymphedema with your doctor. With knowledge and action, we can learn and live. Learn more at lymphaticnetwork.org. Hi, I'm Kathy Bates. People sometimes ask what I've learned in my 2-time battle with cancer. 1 is that with the right treatment, you can beat it. 2 is that it's not just cancer you're battling. You also need to anticipate LE, lymphedema, a disease that can leave those who undergo cancer treatment with a lifetime of swelling and pain. If you're facing a cancer diagnosis, discuss lymphedema with your doctor. With knowledge and action, we can learn and live. Learn more at lymphaticnetwork.org.
Imagine a disease that affects more than 10 million Americans, more than AIDS, Parkinson's, ALS, MS, and muscular dystrophy combined. Yet few know its name. Some years ago, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer, and after surgery, she developed lymphedema, LE, a cruel and chronic disease affecting 10 million Americans that occurs when the lymphatic system is compromised, leaving one with a lifetime of severe swelling and pain. What we found out later is its severity might have been lessened or possibly even prevented if only we were better informed. That's why I'm urging anyone facing cancer treatment to get educated. Talk to your doctor. Make it part of your cancer conversation. And if you have LE, share your story. With patients and doctors working together, we can learn and live. Learn more at lymphaticnetwork.org.
WNKT FM Eastover, Columbia.
Congrats to the Gamecocks women on another national championship.
A Cumulus media station.
What's trending at 2?
Sponsored by Traditions Fine Jewelry and Gamecock Traditions.
2 locations in Lexington and Sandhills on the Halftime Show. Your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia. 107.5 The Game. Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach and 100.5 The Game in Florence.
Halftime show, Terry Ford, Tyler Head. What's trending at 2, sponsored by Traditions Fine Jewelry and Gamecock Traditions here on the game. 803-404-6100. That's the Firehouse Sub text line, Love Chevy phone line. What's trending at 2, obviously we start off with Shane Beamer's presser. Was an hour ago. Shane hitting a variety of things, coming off the win, the underwhelming win against Old Dominion, and getting ready for a trip to Lexington to face the 1-0 Kentucky Wildcats. Here's Shane during the presser, just in the last hour, talking about the passing game.
Surprise, maybe. I mean, did I think that we would throw the ball better on Saturday or more efficiently than what we did? Sure. I mean, I did, but I knew it was going to be a challenge also. And, quarterback starting his first game and a lot of new people around him, I didn't expect us to go out and throw for 400 yards against that style of defense. And we really wanted to run the football, and that's why we ran it 50 sometimes or whatever it was on Saturday. So we need to be better, because I thought we would be better on Saturday and have every confidence in the world that we will be going forward. But at the same time, I know the challenges that style of defense presents, just because, they take away your easy access throw. So it's easy for people to say, well, just throw hitches and throw slants. Well, they take away a lot of that with the way that they play defense. And it's very much a 3-3-3-1 type look, whatever you want to talk about it. And there's a lot of guys back there, and they all fit the run from different places, and then they all can drop into coverage from different places. And certainly there's some things schematically we could have done better to help, for sure. We connect on some of those throws. We're probably not in here on Tuesday talking about the passing game.
All right, there's Shane discussing what I thought was interesting, Tyler, was he went, when he was asked, were you, surprised you didn't throw it as well as you could? Did you expect? And it wasn't like, oh, yeah, we should have been a lot better. It was like, well, yeah, I thought we'd be better, but so maybe they just with the game plan we saw, and with maybe not, once Old Dominion started creeping up, maybe not adjusting and making, and starting throwing the ball to make them pay for creeping up. Maybe all that is just the idea that they knew that this passing game was going to be such a work in progress. We're sticking with what we know we should be able to do, which is run it, even though it ain't working like it was early. It's still, we feel like it's our best bet.
Yeah, maybe so. And again, that's something that, kind of try and adjust as the game goes along. And, when you did kind of put the ball in Sellers' hands to make some throws, maybe he wasn't doing as well as you probably thought he was going to do, and kind of have to adjust from there.
And maybe a coach is never going to say they don't have confidence, right? And Elijah Campbell is here from the presser. But, maybe that's the other part, too, is, you're watching your redshirt freshman quarterback struggle really for the first time. And maybe you're like, look, he's shaky. Let's just keep running this thing. All we know is you got to throw it better than that on Saturday in Lexington.
No, if you don't throw it better than that Saturday in Lexington, the troubles are going to be magnified. It's going to get pretty tough because, as we know, too, we've looked at the schedule. We've talked about the schedule a lot. It does not get easier after Kentucky, which is why this game is so big, because it is one of the most winnable games on the schedule when you just look at your conference slate.
Think about what you're running into Saturday, guys. Again, I have a lot of fun with Mark Stoops as a head coach, but Mark Stoops can coach D. And you think he's not going to be dialing up some stuff to confuse Lenore Sellers? Please. That's coming. I mean, if you thought Old Dominion took stuff away from you in what they do schematically and all these other things, no offense to the Monarchs and Ricky Ronnie, my new favorite name of a head coach in college football, what do you think Mark Stoops and Brad White and that crew in Kentucky are going to mix up to try to confuse Lenore Sellers and take things away that this offense wants to do?
And not just Lenore Sellers, too. The offensive line. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to ask Shane, why he feels his offensive line can compete against Kentucky, what makes him feel like that offensive line is going to be able to negate it. Because when you look at Kentucky, the strength is having arguably the best interior defensive lineman in all of college football in Deion Walker. That man is two men morphed into one. In those cartoons when three different Looney Tunes are all on each other's shoulders in a trench coat. That's Deion Walker, but he's one person, but the size of two. And he doesn't just wreak havoc, he creates carnage. That guy is so good. And there were a couple plays when you look at the offensive line play from Saturday against Old Dominion. What was our biggest criticism? You had a hard time picking up blitzes, but you did well in pass protection. You did well enough in the run game to be able to create, 16 of your 18 first downs on the ground. So it was good enough in those aspects, but the drive killers were some of the sacks, especially one where you were driving and you're in Old Dominion's territory. It's 3rd and goal. And Kason Henry and Torricelli Simpkins are blocking two dudes at once, and somebody from the edge comes off without a single finger laid on them, and sack, bam, you got to settle for a field goal. And that's the one thing that kept this game being really, really close, was that you didn't take advantage of a lot of your red zone opportunities or opportunities inside Old Dominion territory. So that's one. If you're not picking up blitzes well there, Mark Stoops is so good of a defensive coach. They're going to be able to make your quarterback confused, because Lenoris did say today in his presser that he does have the freedom to change protection and coverages, which means it's on him to be able to pick up these blitzes as well as it is for the offensive line. If Old Dominion can creep you out and kind of confuse you with looks, it's not going to get any easier against Kentucky, because they are way more talented. They're way bigger. They'll consistently bring more bodies to you on the defensive line in terms of pass rush. And they have a coach who is known for being able to scheme stunts and ways to be able to get those defensive linemen free, even if the numbers between pass protection and rushers is even.
Yeah, I mean, and you look, if dopes like us can go, wow, they had trouble in blitz pickup, Stoops and his staff are going, oh. And what they'll do, they'll dial up all sorts of stuff with pressures and simulated pressures and all this, you know, like my aunt would say, rigmarole that is going to confuse or try to confuse Lenoris Sellers and that offensive line, the protections. And that's just the thing. Look, Kentucky, you know, if Stoops has to send bodies, he'll send bodies. If he can win with just 4 or 5, he'll win with 4 or 5. Walker might pick up the entire offensive line and throw it into the stands. I mean,
yeah, Walker counts as 2 people. So if they're rushing 4 and Walker's one of them, they're rushing 5.
I mean, it's
Kentucky defensive line math.
He is a bad dude,
and it's not just him too.
No,
Octavius Oxendine's
a good player
as well.
There are days when J.J. Weaver can be a thing off the edge. They got the Georgia linebacker that transferred in quickly. His name is I've lost it.
Jameis Johnson.
Yeah, Johnson's a solid player. This is going to be a defense that you're going to have difficulty against if you play anywhere near the level you did last Saturday. You're just going to have a lot of trouble. You've got to come out and, you know, you've got some things that got to get fixed. You just really do. Whether it's communication, whether it's, you know, confidence of your quarterback, whatever you got to fix, scheming receivers open, whatever it is. Because I think defensively you can be okay.
Or at least maintain. I
think you're good. Look, Brock Vandergriff looked pretty good against Southern Miss. I think the South Carolina defense is better than Southern Miss. Kentucky's got some wide receivers now. They got some guys. If you can get them the ball, they can do some things. In Brown, Key, and Macklin. We'll see what Kentucky is on offense versus South Carolina's defense. But at the end of the day, you've got to be able to do something on the offensive side of the ball in this game. Kentucky keeps you in games by the way they play. That's the one great thing about Kentucky. You know, this is not like, you know, you're going up against, you know, LSU or Alabama or Tennessee or Georgia who can put their foot on the gas and all of a sudden you're down 3-4 scores. It's almost like Mark Stoops says, whoa, guys, what are we doing here? Let's keep this game close.
The Hayden Fry and Iowa in him does not like too many points being scored. He is one for the consumer. He wants this game to be entertaining.
See Stoops at halftime. What are we doing here? We're scoring a lot of points.
We're up 3 touchdowns. How about we pump the brakes a little bit?
Whoa. Hey, this Kentucky football. So the style of the Wildcats can keep you in a game. You just have to use that to your advantage. And I understand the gloom and doom on part of the fan base watching this offense on Saturday. I get it. And Kentucky defensively obviously is a lot better than Old Dominion. But now you've got to, and Tyler and I were talking about this, you got to take a step back now as a coaching staff, obviously, and say, okay, what works here? What are the strengths of what we have right now with our young quarterback and our, you know, big pile of receivers that have some skills and abilities here and tight ends and all that? What are we going to do? How about the screen game? Can you get Juju McDowell in the screen game or maybe a little wheel route or something using McDowell in the passing game against linebackers and DBs?
The easy access throws, as Shane called it today in the presser. And that's the one thing, too. Like, sure, if you want to chalk up the Old Dominion struggles to them running a complicated defense that the Big 12 has kind of brandished as a creation of their own, then Okay, fine, but we need to see proof of concept against defenses that don't run that style, because if you're still not able to get those easy access throws, if you're still not able to complete more than 33% of the passes with a clean pocket against Kentucky, even though Kentucky's a better defense, schematically it is a different defense. So in theory, that should open up those easy access throws a little bit, and you can maybe get your quarterback in a little bit of a rhythm. If not, based off what we heard today, then that's two different types of defenses where you can't get easy access throws against. And that's where the real concern can come into play.
And it's always an adjustment game, right? I mean, okay, so they're taking away your easy access throws. Okay, how do you adjust to that? What do you do to adjust to that? Because there's always an adjustment to what they do, right?
It's a chess match. You get your turn too.
Absolutely, it's a chess match. So I guess that's the question is, okay, if they take your easy access throws, was it those throws we saw that Sellers did take? Were those the throws that you have to hit against that defense to be successful? Maybe it is. But again, that goes back to the part of execution. If they take away the easy stuff and now you have to go second level, then obviously that was the throws you just couldn't hit.
Mm-hmm.
But is there adjustments within what they're doing to you to take that throw away that you can now make them pay?
Yeah, or have a second option,
right?
Or at least be confident in your second option. I think one of my biggest takeaways from listening to Lenoris talk was he used the word, kind of timid, and there were some nerves for that first game. And sometimes, when you're the starting quarterback and you start the game and you're in, even if it's a friendly environment, sometimes going through the reads in your head is going to be a lot different than it is when you're in practice and there are no fans watching, right? Mm-hmm. You are in a position which you're comfortable in because he practiced last year. So he is comfortable in that practice setting. When you do get to a point where the other team is going to provide a lot of pressure, you got to be not just knowing your reads. There's a difference between knowing your reads and being confident in your reads and your options, right? And being confident in it to say, hey, okay, this isn't here. I can't hold on to the ball. Now's a good time to run. Or maybe be a little more patient instead of bailing out of the pocket, making those throws too, and being able to go through progressions. And I likened it yesterday on the show with Jay, like Jalen Milroe. That's the difference between him in 2024 and the difference in him in 2022. He didn't go through those progressions. And there were a couple plays in the Western Kentucky game. Now this is his first, full year as the guaranteed starter. He made a couple throws where you just watch his head and you watch him go through every single progression. He's very pocket aware, and he was able to pick that defense apart, even though early in his career, it's okay, forget this. I'm going to bail out of this and run for 5, 6, 7 yards or try to get to the sticks. I mean, there's an evolution that these types of scrambling quarterbacks do eventually have to make. And unfortunately for Lenoris, he doesn't maybe have the luxury of time to be able to do that. That's something he's going to have to pick up really quick.
Yeah, and the other part of it, if we saw the All-22, which is so funny how tough to get your hands on an All-22 college film.
Like breaking into Fort Knox.
It's craziness. If you could see it, it would be interesting to see, not only because there was talk, he did one read and bailed. Were there options open in the second and third progression that he never looked at because, again, he's taken off because, like you said, running quarterbacks have to go through this. Mm-hmm. And he went through it on Saturday.
He did.
Were there plays left on the field because he had one read and bailed because it was his first start?
He admitted as such today.
So that's something else that you have to evolve into. Like you said, Milroe, with DeBoer and what they're doing now, he's much more comfortable hanging in there on progressions. All right, we'll get back in here, continue our conversation with, go ahead and go. You got a show to get ready. Nice job. Give me some. Elijah, we'll talk more about this with Jay on the postgame show. We'll come back in here. What's trending at 2, sponsored by Gamecock Traditions and Traditions Fine Jewelry, right here on The Game.
107.5 The Game.
In Columbia.
100.5 The Game.
In Florence.
100.3 The Game.
In Myrtle Beach. The Game Network. Sips and Sounds, the only craft beer, wine, and spirits tasting event held indoors under the cool AC. No rain, no heat, no worries. Unlimited sampling of over 40 brands of local and national craft beers, wine, seltzers, and spirits. Live performances by Ken and Drew of Sister Hazel, Dazer, and the Donovan Twins.
Saturday, September 28th. Get your unlimited tasting wristbands now at sipsandsoundscola.com.
107.5 The Game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios.
Take up to $20,000 off new Silverados.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
803-875-MENS, the Men's Clinic of South Carolina. Just make that call. You're not feeling like you. You're off. You're not the guy you used to be. It might be as simple as low testosterone. You make that call. You set up your free confidential consultation with Dr. Dan and the crew. If they feel like your issues are related to low T, they'll do some lab work. If it comes back, yes, you have low testosterone, they will put you, and this is the important part, they will put you on a program specifically designed for you. It's not some cookie cutter, one thing fits all, because everybody's different. Everybody's testosterone issues will be different. That's where it's at. Listen to Dr. Dan, not Dr. Frank Thomas, but Dr. Dan will set you up on a program specifically designed for you. Again, 803-875-MENS. Make the call. Men's Clinic of South Carolina.
Back for a limited time only, it's Firehouse Subs Barbecue Cuban Sub featuring slow-smoked pulled pork, honey ham, melted Swiss, golden mustard barbecue sauce, chipotle slaw, and spicy pickle chips, all on a toasted sub roll. It's Southern roots with a Cuban twist. Try the Barbecue Cuban Sub at Firehouse Subs today. They make their subs differently because their subs can make a difference every day. At Firehouse Subs, a portion of every purchase helps provide much-needed life-saving equipment to first responders across the country. Firehouse Subs. Enjoy more subs, save more lives.
Hey, this is Ray.
And Mary Ann with Absolute Glass.
And we're happy to have been voted Lexington's best glass store for 15 years in a row.
Many drivers are unaware that your cracked windshields can be replaced, usually at absolutely no cost to you.
If all the high-end car dealerships in town can trust us to do their glass needs, so can you.
We service the Midlands both at our shop in Lexington, but we are also happy to come to you at home or work.
Find us online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com.
And remember, if you can see through it, we can do it.
From lazy days and spontaneous adventures to revving up and reconnecting, you can almost feel the excitement building, the road ahead, and a whole new season of possibilities. It's back to cool time right now at Love Chevy with amazing savings on a lot chock full of brand new Tahoes, Suburbans, and the totally redesigned Chevy Traverse. A bolder exterior design, turbocharged V6, best-in-class cargo area, plenty of space for the team and the tailgate. Speaking of football, every day is game day at Love Chevy, where it's all about the fundamentals, honesty, integrity, and straight talk. No ridiculous add-on stickers like the other guys. And who could forget about Love Chevy's $1,000 low price guarantee? Get back to cool today at South Carolina's #1 volume Chevy dealer, I-26 at Harbison, and at lovechevy.com. Together, let's drive.
That's the power of love. Love Chevy.
Call the experts at Zerorez Air Duct Cleaning and mention me, Bill Gunner, and 107.5 The Game to get $50 off your next air duct cleaning service. Use code AIR50 at ZerorezColumbia.com. Zerorez is the right way to clean.
This year, Roy and Dana Finley are shaking things up at AAA Heating and Air. For the next 12 months, they're telling their customers no. Get a new system purchase with no payments and no interest until 2025. And don't forget their 15-year parts and labor warranty, $1,500 old system buyback, and guaranteed financing. So do what I did. Call AAA Heating and Air for your free estimate today and tell them Jay Phillips sent you.
AAA Air when you need us. AAA Heating and Air.
Hit us up on the Firehouse Subs text line, 803-404-6100.
Your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia, 107.5 The Game. Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach and 100.5 The Game in Florence. The Halftime Show, sponsored by the Men's Clinic of South Carolina, on your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia, 107.5 The Game.
Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach.
And 100.5 The Game in Florence. And the 107.5 The Game app.
Oh, what's trending at 2? We continue, sponsored by Traditions Fine Jewelry and Gamecock Traditions here on The Game. We appreciate you listening. If you're in Columbia here at 107.5, Florence 100.5 The Game, Myrtle Beach 100.3 The Game, or you're checking out Game TV, you go to our YouTube channel at The Game TV Radio, powered by Integrated Media and sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. Or you might just be going on our 107.5 The Game app, whichever way you roll. We appreciate you checking us out today. I just saw this. This is so good. Trent Williams, San Francisco 49er left tackle, best left tackle in the NFL. has been holding out all of training camp. And he is the best left tackle in the game.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
I was left.
Well, I mean, right, isn't he?
Oh, you agree with me? I thought you said right tackle.
No.
I play left tackle. Okay. All right. He's the sixth highest paid right now. So Trent Williams, there's two things Trent Williams wanted. A new deal, obviously. But you know what else he wanted, Tyler? Not participate in training camp.
Yeah, most of the veteran guys that have proven themselves typically don't.
So Trent Williams, do you think he just magically all of a sudden said, hey, wow, this offer is different from all the other offers. I'm in. No. He probably looked at his agent, said, training camp's over, right? You're ready to kick off for the season? Yep, Trent. Okay, take the deal.
Sounds about right.
Take the deal. And look, Trent Williams last year, I mean, he is a hell of a left tackle. His pass block win rate was 96%. Basically, he won the battle versus the pass rusher at the line of scrimmage, holding that guy off 2.5 seconds or more. That's how good he is. And by the way, when they ran the ball behind Trent Williams, they averaged over 6 yards a carry. He's a dude. He's absolutely a dude.
But you know what's going to happen the one time he does whiff on a block?
Sure.
Because it wasn't in training camp.
That's right. Why weren't you in training camp? You were in training camp, you would have got that block.
You would have got that block.
Uh-huh. The interesting part of what the 49ers are doing, and we're not going to know this until after this season. I mean, they're juggling. I mean, Malik Collins, who they signed defensive tackle, they restructured his deal. The 49ers cap gymnastics because you're paying Brandon Ayuk now. You're paying Debo. You're paying McCaffrey. You're paying Kittle. You're paying the linebacker Warner. You're paying Bosa. You're paying Williams. Last time I checked, there's a salary cap in the NFL, and it's a hard cap.
Mm-hmm.
You're paying a lot of dudes. Guess who's coming up to get paid after this season? Your quarterback.
Yep.
This is going to be interesting. We're going to find out what the 49ers think of Brock Purdy. Forget what all these other people think of Brock Purdy. You're going to find out what the 49ers think of Brock Purdy because you're paying a lot of folks around Brock Purdy. Are you doing this because you believe, as Kyle Shanahan, that you can put in Brock Purdy's in this offense, and with Ayuk and Debo and McCaffrey and Kittle and Williams and you, Kyle Shanahan, the offensive mastermind you are, we don't need Aaron Rodgers. We don't need Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. We can plug in a guy that can point guard this offense, and we got the Super Bowl, Brock Purdy. Brock bleeping Purdy.
And Jimmy Garoppolo.
And Jimmy bleeping Garoppolo. I don't need Aaron Rodgers. I'm Kyle Shanahan. So you're paying a lot of people. Are you gonna zig where everybody else zags? Are you gonna zig over to say, I don't need a $50 million a year quarterback sucking up my cap space? I can go with a guy on a rookie deal, and if he's got the right skill set to fit my offense, I'm going to have a quarterback on the cheap, and I can afford to do this dance with all these other guys who are upper-level players.
That seems to be the most successful thing for that offense. I don't see why he wouldn't continue to go down that path. Now, the question is, do you need a high-level quarterback to eventually win you a Super Bowl? Because you've gotten there twice with game manager-type guys that fit your offense and just get the ball to the skill position players. But if you ever want to beat Patrick Mahomes, because it's been the Achilles heel in those two Super Bowls, do you need a high-level guy?
Because the high-level guy got you twice.
Yeah.
And that's going to be what's so much fun in watching this, Tyler, is what is Kyle Shanahan going to do? Because it will be decision time on Brock Purdy after this season.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to pay Brock Purdy franchise quarterback money when right now you're paying a lot of guys franchise-type money at their positions? It's going to be fun, man, to see what the 49ers do.
And I think the interesting question is, what would other teams be willing to pay for Brock Purdy? Because is he just such a good fit in Shanahan's offense, or can he go somewhere else and be successful too?
That's a question because, again, Brock Purdy does not have a bazooka for an arm. There's certain NFL throws Brock Purdy can't make. But in Shanahan's offense, what Brock Purdy does is just fine.
Sure.
But now you're coming to that point where Brock Purdy is going to want to get compensated. Do you believe that much in Brock Purdy being the perfect guy for your offense? Or do you say, I can put Brock Purdy's in this offense and Jimmy Garoppolo's, and I can get to a Super Bowl. I don't need to pay the quarterback gigantic money that sucks up my cap, especially now when I'm paying the guys we just went over.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be fun, man, to see which way the 49ers go. But anyway, Trent Williams getting paid.
For sure.
All right, Shane Beamer talking to the media at 1 o'clock today with his presser, his weekly presser. Shane was asked about scheme changes after the first games, obviously offensive scheme changes, and here's the coach's answer.
Not really. Old Dominion, and let's give Old Dominion some credit. The way they play defense makes it tough to do a lot of things. And just the structure of their defense, they take away a lot. And this isn't they're Old Dominion, you should be able to do this. No, they take away a lot with what they do schematically. So it was going to be a challenge. I said that on the radio show last week. I said that leading up to it, that the way they play defense is different and is a challenge. And we didn't do a good enough job of executing. Surely, David, after every game, you look back and there's things schematically that you would tweak and do differently. But, for the most part, we got to coach better. We got to, execute better. But, you don't have 35 minutes time of possession and a 16-play drive, a 13-play drive, a 10-play drive, and stink. So we did some good things. Was it good enough on Saturday? Absolutely not. Nobody is saying that, but we also did some good things. And if we got to be able to finish drives in the red zone and not kick field goals, and if we score touchdowns down there and not kick field goals, I think everybody's feeling a lot different about things too.
Yeah, look, that's the thing about this game. Yeah, the offense was clunky. They didn't throw the ball as well as you would hope they would. But we went over this earlier, okay? It's a lot of ifs. You had ifs in this game. Now you have to turn ifs into execution. But you had a touchdown on the fake field goal, got called back on a penalty, shot yourself in the foot. You had a penalty on the long throw that Jared Brown couldn't pull in. So even if he catches it and goes for a touchdown, doesn't matter. You shot yourself in the foot.
Right.
Again, Juju McDowell's going around left end. Looks like he's got a lot of green. If he's not going to score a touchdown, he's going to get the ball most likely deep in Old Dominion territory, and your quarterback accidentally runs into him. So you had these moments of things that if they would have worked, maybe we are talking about it different, but you know what? They didn't. So now you got to get it together, and the things, you got to turn ifs into execution.
Right.
All right, we'll get back in here. Today is September 3rd. What would that be, Tyler, you think?
That would be the greatest day in the history of the world.
That is next on the Halftime Show. Terry Ford, Tyler Head hanging out here up until 3 on the game.
The Game Network in Columbia.
107.5 The Game.
In Florence.
100.5 The Game.
In Myrtle Beach.
100.3 The Game.
Powered by Integrated Media. The Game TV.
Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. A true reflection of quality.
The Game TV.
All right, so let's say it's time that maybe you just want to redo the lighting in your house. Maybe you've been looking at it going, I just want a different look, a different feel. The first phone call to make is 803-978-2025, The Nest. So in Gadsden and the Vista, you call over 70 years of experience, folks knowing how to make your dreams come true inside your home. So you call The Nest, you get on the phone with an expert on lighting because they have them, set an appointment, come in, bring in your ideas, what you want to do, your budget, all these important details, and you walk around the showroom and look at all the different varieties and choices you'll have. And then you get together with an expert, obviously, and you make it happen. 803-978-2025, making your housing dreams come true. It's The Nest on Gadsden and the Vista.
Autumn is almost here. They're getting ready for the change of the season at Dan's Fan City in Harbison. They're celebrating with amazing deals on floor samples, closeouts, and overstocks. Whether you're looking to upgrade your ceiling fans or add a new one to your space, Dan's Fan City has you covered. Stop by their store or give them a call at 781-FANS to take advantage of these fantastic offers. Don't miss out on the chance to save big and elevate your home's comfort and style with Dan's Fan City on Harbison Boulevard.
All-American Heating and Air's proud owners, Gene and Debbie Royer.
Oh, there's many companies that don't do background checks. It's sad to say.
A background check is performed on every employee that works for All-American.
We want to make sure that we're sending a safe person into your home and you can feel safe.
Trust All-American's family to help your family.
Check my prices, check their prices, check my word to their word.
We're a good first opinion or second opinion.
When you need us, we're there. All-American Heating and Air.
AllAmericanHeatingandAir.com.
There's no better place to be on a fall Saturday than at Williams-Brice Stadium. Single game tickets for the 2024 Gamecock football season are on sale now. Discounted single game tickets are also available for first responders, teachers, military, and more. To see what's planned for the 2024 season and to purchase tickets, visit GamecocksOnline.com/2024. Whatever the game, whoever you're with, just catch a game.
From lazy days and spontaneous adventures to revving up and reconnecting, you can almost feel the excitement building, the road ahead, and a whole new season of possibilities. It's back to cool time right now at Love Chevy with amazing savings on a lot chock full of brand new Tahoes, Suburbans, and the totally redesigned Chevy Traverse. A bolder exterior design, turbocharged V6, best-in-class cargo area, plenty of space for the team and the tailgate. Speaking of football, every day is game day at Love Chevy, where it's all about the fundamentals, honesty, integrity, and straight talk. No ridiculous add-on stickers like the other guys. And who could forget about Love Chevy's $1,000 low price guarantee? Get back to cool today at South Carolina's #1 volume Chevy dealer, I-26 at Harbison, and at lovechevy.com. Together, let's drive.
That's the power of love. Love Chevy.
Call Zerorez Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning today and mention me, Bill Gunner, at 107.5 The Game to get a free hallway cleaned with 3 rooms of carpet for only $129. Book online at ZerorezColumbia.com. This year, Roy and Dana Finley are shaking things up at AAA Heating and Air. For the next 12 months, they're telling their customers no. Get a new system purchase with no payments and no interest for a whole year. You heard that right. Purchase a brand new system in 2024 and get no payments and no interest until 2025. Do what I did. Call AAA Heating and Air today for your free estimate. 803-677-1500. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
AAA Air when you need us. AAA Heating and Air.
The Halftime Show, sponsored by the Men's Clinic of South Carolina.
The greatest day in the history of the world on the Halftime Show is sponsored by 1-800-GET-JUNK. We make junk disappear. All you have to do is point.
On your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia, 107.5 The Game.
Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach.
And 100.5 The Game in Florence.
And the 107.5 The Game app.
Greatest day in the history of the world is September 3rd here on the Halftime Show. Terry Ford, Tyler Head on the game. We always like to hit the first one on the list. It's kind of what we do now.
Another 1800s.
1908.
Getting close.
Canadian World Heavyweight Boxing Champion Tommy Burns KO's Australian Bill Lang in 6 rounds on this day in 1908. It was in Melbourne, by the way. So Tommy Burns said, I'll show up in your hood. I'll take you out. That was Burns' warm-up fight for his famous bout with Jack Johnson in 1908. Johnson beat Burns. There was a documentary made about that fight with Burns and Johnson back in 1908. Jack Johnson was very interesting. He was a heavyweight champion, very charismatic guy, liked the ladies, liked the party life. And he was one of those early, like, big-time sports figures.
Yeah.
It was Jack Johnson. So that was 1908. Tommy Burns getting ready to fight Jack Johnson. All right. Also, greatest day in the history of the world. 2022. 23-time Grand Slam tennis champion Serena Williams plays her final match at the U.S. Open. Lost in the third round. 23 Grand Slam championships. Look, this is taking nothing away. Steffi Graf was phenomenal. Martina Navratilova was unbelievable. And if you want to make the argument with them, saying they're the best of the last, 30, 40 years, I think Serena Williams is. First of all, she won the Australian Open carrying child.
Uh-huh. That's pretty impressive.
I don't care if it was only a few weeks, a month, a couple of months. There's a human being breathing inside you, and you just won a major. It's pretty good, man. Top that one. That's tough. But I think Serena Williams, in all seriousness, I think she's the best I saw. And I think, again, Steffi Graf was fantastic. Martina was unreal, too. But Serena Williams, she retired. She did retire officially after losing a third-round match at the U.S. Open in 2022. Who doesn't love some Josh Rosen talk?
Oh, boy.
The former UCLA quarterback in 2017 fakes the spike and throws a 10-yard touchdown pass with 43 seconds left as UCLA overcomes a 34. I remember this game.
Yeah.
Bruins overcome a 34-point deficit to stun Texas A&M 45-44.
Yeah, I remember that. That was we said 17, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that was a wild one.
Rosen threw for almost 500 yards. 4 fourth-quarter touchdowns. UCLA scores on 5 straight possessions. They were down 44-10 with around 4 minutes to go in the third quarter. Rosen was a really good college quarterback. It just didn't work in the NFL.
That was so that would have been, was that Jimbo's last year at Florida, or was that his first year at A&M?
I think we'll have to look that up.
Hold on.
I can't remember. You're right, though. Your timeline is spot on, whether that was his last year in Tallahassee.
Okay, so he wasn't at A&M then yet.
No.
So that was the end
that was
of
Sumlin,
the
wasn't it?
Sumlin era.
That was
Yep.
Sumlin. Yeah, that puts an end to everything.
Yeah, that makes
and
a lot of
something,
sense.
I won't lie to you. I thought Josh Rosen, he was a skinny little dude, but I thought, he had the skills to be, I'm not saying a great quarterback in the NFL, but I thought he could be a starter in the NFL. There were some things, like you say, he got put on a few LBs, and, there was some other stuff. But as a thrower of the football, I thought Rosen could quarterback in the NFL. But the one thing that was brought up against him, I don't know if you remember this. I'm a draft dork. The conversation was, ready? He was a rich kid.
Mm-hmm.
Family had dough.
Yep.
How much you going to grind being a rich kid? And you know that you really don't need to go work hard because your family has money. That's brought up a lot in sports.
Sure.
And is it an unfair stereotype? Sure, there are rich kids who go out and become very successful. Jackson Holliday's in the major leagues with the Orioles. His dad made millions, Matt Holliday, as a Major League Baseball player. So I think it's an unfair stereotype, but there's that thought process from major league organizations, NFL organizations, NBA organizations, that the guy whose family has a lot of money and his life has been comfortable doesn't know how to grind, doesn't have that tough innards of scraping.
Hasn't had to work for everything.
Hadn't had to scrap for anything, right. And that was one of the knocks on Josh Rosen. Now, how much is that true? Why Josh Rosen just bounced around as a journeyman and was a bust as a first-round pick? I don't know, maybe. But arm talent Josh Rosen had. There's no doubt. All right, also this day, the greatest day in the history of the world, which is September the 3rd. We'll get another one or two in here. 1994, Miami beats Georgia Southern 56-0 to break an NCAA record, their 58th consecutive home win. You know whose record they passed?
I'll take a shot. Oklahoma?
Vanderbilt. I made that up. You're going down the right road, Bama. Alabama won 57 straight at home from 1962 to 1982 during the Bear era.
And that was 99. That was back when the Orange Bowl was still around, the original Orange Bowl. People say that once they tore that down, that was the reason why Miami just lost its luster.
Yeah. I always love stuff like that because you need something, right?
Sure,
you need something to explain why you used to be really good and now you're not. There's always a curse like that. It was that goat's fault that the Cubs sucked for decades and decades.
Mm-hmm.
the Red Sox got rid of Babe Ruth. That's why the Red Sox were terrible. Like you said, they tore down the stadium. That's why the Canes aren't the U anymore. I always love those because none of them are true, but it's always fun.
Sure.
It's always fun.
It's an angle.
You know what it is? Because you got to have something to make you feel better about why your team isn't good anymore.
Yeah, well, it's refusing to look yourself in the mirror.
Right.
Say, if the Orange Bowl was still here, we'd be national champions.
Instead of reality that the Cubs had a joke for ownership and a joke of front office and, bad managers and players that weren't very good, you know what? It's that goat's fault. You should have let that guy with the goat, you should have let him in the game.
Well, and then, they blame Steve Bartman for another 15 years.
Don't start me on that one. What they did to that poor guy. That poor guy's life.
I think they sent him a ring when they finally won back in 2016. Yeah, if I remember correctly.
So bad for that guy. I felt so bad for that dude. It was awful. Awful. No, forget the fact that you gave up all those runs. Was Bartman pitching?
He was not.
Was he hitting?
He was not.
No. He was a poor schlub. He's sitting in the stands with his goofy transistor radio headphones, just trying to catch a foul ball like anybody else. But it was his fault. Anyway, all right. Greatest day in the history of the world.
Can I throw one more at you?
Sure.
2009. LeGarrette Blount punches a Boise State linebacker after the Broncos beat the Ducks 19-8.
Yep. All right.
On a Thursday night.
Just got to Boise a little bit after that.
Really?
Oh, the linebacker he wore 94, 95, whatever. I can't think of his name. Oh, my God. I'm totally blanking on his name. But, yeah, that's when Boise State was building up to be Boise State. Like on that big level of Boise State. And LeGarrette Blount, he still played in the NFL. He had some good years. I think he got a ring in New England.
Brian Haupt. Byron Haupt.
Byron Haupt. H-A-U-P-T or whatever it was.
H-O-U-T.
Yeah, Byron Haupt. He was kind of a folk hero there for a little bit in Boise. And that game was in Boise, if I remember.
Yeah, they're on the blue turf.
On the blue turf. Very nice. It's a good one.
Yeah. No, I remember because that game was on a Thursday night. I didn't see the punch after the game until I was watching SportsCenter the next morning, and they kept replaying it over and over and over and over and over again.
Oh, yeah. And Blount got suspended.
Blount got in a lot of trouble.
Yeah. I can't remember if he got suspended for just a couple games for the rest of the season, but yeah.
And I went back and watched the clip again. After punching Haupt, when he's leaving the field, he almost gets into it with a fan, and Scott Frost had to restrain him from jumping into the stands and fighting Boise State fans.
Yeah, LeGarrette had some issues. LeGarrette had a little intensity, anger issues. LeGarrette Blount.
You think he got straightened out by that Patriot system when he got there?
Oh, you get there, guess what?
Yeah.
It's not just Hoodie. It's all those guys in that locker room, too, who are like, hey, bub, we don't do that mess here. All right. Greatest day in history. Good one by you, by the way. Excellent poll. Greatest day in the history of the world. We'll get back in here. Firehouse Sub text the hour if we can get the text.
Back
Is
up
it back?
and running again. We're good.
803-404-6100. Also, we'll yip a little bit with Jay Phillips, who do the handoff sponsored by Little Pigs. That's all coming up. Terry Ford, Tyler Head, halftime show right here on The Game.
From the Midlands to the PD to the beach.
The Game Network.
Hey, paying for streaming? One more thing you got to stream and pay for? Well, the Game app is, wait for it, free.
It's free! It's free! It's free!
Yes, all you got to do is go to iTunes or Google Play and download the 107.5 The Game app and listen for nothing in all respects of the word. Nothing.
This is Jim Rome with a Sports Minute, sponsored by Old Trapper Beef Jerky. Old Trapper, what's your beef? Yo, Florida man, how you living? Yo, Florida woman, y'all okay? If you are located anywhere north of West Palm Beach, you don't have to answer that because we already know. We are all well aware that unless you're a Hurricane fan, you are probably absolutely banged up this morning. I'm Jim Rome.
There aren't many feelings worse than trying to start your car in the morning and being greeted with a dead battery, or being stuck on the side of the road when you don't need to be. 1 in 4 vehicles on the road will need a battery replacement this year. Don't be a statistic. Stop battery problems before they stop you by testing your battery regularly. Test yours at home or at select Napa locations nationwide. If you need a replacement, Napa has you covered with a full range of long-lasting, high-performance batteries for nearly every make and model on the road. So don't wait. Test your battery today and let Napa help you keep moving.
Vanguard is 100% client-owned, serving over 50 million investors every day. Whether you're planning for retirement, putting your kids through college, or saving up for your next adventure, Vanguard can help you set personalized investment goals. All investing is subject to risk. Vanguard is owned by its funds, which are owned by Vanguard's fund shareholder clients. Copyright 2024, The Vanguard Group, Inc. All rights reserved. Vanguard Marketing Corporation Distributor.
Guess what, people? Wendy's has new saucy nugs. You heard me. Wendy's nugs now come in 7 saucy flavors. Buffalo, honey barbecue, garlic parm, spicy ghost pepper. You can literally hear your taste buds after every bite. I'm serious. Listen to mine. Okay, that's just me playing with sound effects, but you got the idea. For a whole new way to nug, gotta be Wendy's.
At participating U.S. Wendy's. All right, when it comes to getting life insurance for your family, a lot of excuses can get in the way. But ask yourself this. If something were to happen to me, who would pay the mortgage, the kids' education, and the other bills? Then forget the excuses and check out Ethos Life, the online, easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Ethos has rates that you can afford, like a $500,000 policy for a 40-year-old male starting at $1 a day or $30 a month, with a few health questions and no medical exam. Get your free quote right now at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Rates do vary.
Wake up. Breakfast. And Nature Made vitamins. Whatever your morning sounds like, Nature Made fits right in. Whether you're looking for vitamin C or a multivitamin to get key nutrients, we've got you covered. Now that's a good morning. We take care of you so you can take on your day. Start your day with Nature Made, the #1 pharmacist-recommended vitamin and supplement brand. Based on a survey of pharmacists who recommend branded vitamins and supplements.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds, which could be life-changing. I mean, you could put that money towards concert tickets for your daughter to see that singer who sings about painful breakups. And one song will inspire your little beauty to break up with that beast she's dating, Brian. Instead, she'll date someone who's nice and worthy of her love, not someone who addresses you and your spouse as bro. And it's all because you could save money switching at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states.
The Halftime Show, sponsored by the Men's Clinic of South Carolina.
It's time for Text of the Hour on the Firehouse Subs text line on the Halftime Show.
On your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia, 107.5 The Game.
Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach.
And 100.5 The Game in Florence. And the 107.5 The Game app.
All right, don't forget Thursday, Carolina Calls with Shane from Backstreets at 6. And then guess what? NFL season starts Thursday night. Hear it right here on The Game in Columbia, and I believe also in Florence.
Professional football?
Yeah, they have this thing called the NFL.
Oh.
They have a minor league?
Should.
They should.
If only somebody had a clear and thought out idea about how they should do that.
You know, most people really don't think much about it.
No, I don't know of anybody that wants
You know
that to
anybody?
happen. No, I don't.
I don't either. You know
personally.
anybody, Phillips?
Nope.
Yeah.
Couldn't tell you.
It'd be really cool if they had an unofficial minor league that, you know, was a bunch of universities that came together that they didn't have to fund.
Well, now really, it would be great if they were just all amateur, but now the system, everybody gets paid, so they're really not a minor league anymore.
Well, again, can you send the underperforming NFL dude back to
Like the minor leagues.
to the minor league?
Could you see already? How funny would that be? All of a sudden, you're sending back your fancy first-round pick who's been a bust. You send him back down to you're getting him back for a little while.
Listen,
get them together.
We could spend all day on
Yes,
this.
we
so
could.
you probably have something else to do.
Who brought that up? Tyler.
If you get me going, you won't stop.
Hey, you were the one talking about the Westwood One coverage.
That's right, Thursday of the NFL.
That's right.
Ravens, Chiefs. Chiefs go for a three-peat.
But it's not a rematch.
No!
Not a rematch.
Yeah, he's on the minor league thing. Don't start me on the rematch. That's not a rematch of the AFC Championship game.
I can't stand that. It's not
at
all.
That one drives me.
It is two teams that happen to play in the AFC Championship
It's a regular
game.
season game.
All I know is this. If the Ravens would win, do they get the AFC Championship trophy and do they go replay the Super Bowl?
This is my theory for sports. I think we need to play for trophies all the time. Like, when you play the Chiefs, you should play for the Super Bowl trophy, and they have to defend it each and every week like a wrestling
It's like
title.
Braveheart or wrestling.
Exactly.
I love this.
Because if you're the best team, you got to defend that every single week.
If you beat the Chiefs, you get Taylor Swift and the trophy.
Exactly.
Look at that.
That's the thing.
Taylor Swift has to date your tight end if you beat the Chiefs.
Better yet, your team gets to have Taylor Swift and then bring that
So,
much more
like,
coverage.
if the Lions beat the Chiefs, congratulations, Sal Laporta. You got
Way
a
to
new
go, buddy.
girlfriend.
But I'm married. It doesn't matter.
Did y'all see the thing the other day? Schefter and Laura Rutledge were doing something, I guess, on the NFL show. And Laura said something about, Travis and Taylor and something about an engagement ring, and she didn't have one. And so Shefty goes, like, well, Laura, how do you know that he hasn't bought an engagement ring? And then it went down that rabbit hole.
Oh, jeez.
But then I saw the stories about the story.
Oh,
and basically how and I even put it on my own Twitter. I was like, if Shefty were to break this, then heads would roll at E.
Oh, yeah,
TMZ, all that, because and then Rappaport even they chimed in about Rappaport, how basically he's admitted, hey, the biggest news I ever broke was that Taylor was going to be at the Super Bowl because he found that out somehow, some way.
Wow.
And he's like, that's still my biggest story. But when you think about it, again.
Yeah, because it's going outside of sports.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And you know how many more people cared than about Adam Schefter who had no clue who Adam Schefter was?
Right. So
Zero clue.
It's just kind of funny. But anyway.
All right. Firehouse up text the hour, 803-404-6100. What do you got there, bub?
Going back to our conversation about DJU, David says, DJU is like the bad boyfriend and the university is the girlfriend that's saying they can fix him.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, he'll be different with me. He won't be
He was good at Oregon State, and the Pac-12 had a good year last year.
He was better than he was at Clemson, but still his numbers were a little bit better than at Clemson.
Yep.
But it wasn't like you say, oh, this is the guy we got to replace Jordan Travis with because he's going to be
Listen, I got zero issue with FSU losing last night.
We talked about this the first segment of the show. It's like, look, I don't hate Florida State. Matter of fact, I thought they got jobbed last year for being in the college football playoff. But that being said, after another offseason of them puffing their chest out, saying they're slumming in the ACC, to see Georgia Tech and Boston College not just beat them, but beat them up.
Beat them.
Makes me giggle.
Yeah, I realize, and before anybody says Georgia Tech kicked the last-second field goal, but they beat them up front.
Physically, they beat them up.
They owned them the entire game.
And then last night, I was just telling Elijah, and I'll share this later too, Boston College had 3 guys go for over 70 each. Each of them had at least 12 carries. Each of them averaged at least 4.5 per.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just
ran them over.
Yeah, Bill O'Brien playing big boy football.
Mm-hmm. And you were talking about this earlier in the show. Bill O'Brien, because he was such a disaster as the GM, which he never should have been with the Texans.
Agreed.
We forget this guy's a good football coach.
Yeah.
He's won. Remember, he took the wreckage of that Sandusky Paterno stuff at Penn State and made them a solid football program through the whole thing. He won with the Texans and made the playoffs. He's going to win at Boston College to some level. That is not going to be a punching bag program under Bill O'Brien.
No, he's a good coach.
Yes, he is.
And I could see him. I was just telling Elijah this off air. I could see him following a similar path, potentially. Not saying he'll end up winning 2 Super Bowls, but Tom Coughlin had a good career at BC, and he went to Jacksonville first. But O'Brien's already been in the NFL, and he's already been at a big time college program. This isn't a rehab step. He was at Ohio State. It was February, and he's like, somebody's got to do it. Oh, all right, I'll go do it.
Hey, quick stat. I saw somebody pop up on social media. The teams want to get out of the ACC are combined 0-3. The rest of the league's like 15-2.
Womp, womp.
What do you got coming up?
Brews Day. Ryan Brewer in the house.
Very nice. Post-game show is next. Fine job. Tyler, we'll talk to you tomorrow.
107.5 The Game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios.
Take up to $20K off new Silverados.
Stop by or shop online today.